Hey everybody, we are live. It's our first live stream and it's been a minute. It's been a minute since the Loki season 2 recaps and everything. Yeah. So we're doing another recap for you guys today. D23 Expo was this past weekend and we're going to recap it for you all. And today we welcome back somebody who was a part of MUSE before it was MUSE TV, Claudia Amezcua. You went to D23. I guess the best part is to do with your thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, great to be back. It's been a while, but here I am. Yeah, let's go ahead and dive into D23. What was great? What surprises came in? Let's get to it.
Yeah, and we have a lot to talk about, not only from the movie side, from the show floor side, the things we did know about, the things we didn't know about, and everything like that. So it's going to be a fun conversation. If you want to join in, please leave your comments. If you have questions or your thoughts, please type them in. We will get to them. And if you do a super chat, we'll get to them even faster. So you know how this works. I mean, it's not free to run these things. So that's the only way we could actually get to your questions faster. Super chats right there, or even gifts, and we'll greatly appreciate it. So let's get started. Claudia, Friday, first day of D23. I was not there that day. You were. What were some of the highlights from Friday?
You know, honestly, Friday was actually a very interesting day where I don't know why I came in with the expectation that's going to be a busy day, considering that just what I heard from people line up overnight. Well, not really. Actually, my guests were allowed to line up at 4 a.m. in the morning. And I'm assuming this is for that virtual queue, which honestly could have done it from home. And basically buy merchandise and just overall excitement. I honestly did not roll up until about 10 o'clock in the morning because I didn't think it was necessary. But honestly, it was very interesting because it didn't seem as busy as I would have thought, or at least what I saw on social media with other influencers out at the event. They just made it seem like it was just so packed with people. But honestly, it wasn't like that.
Yeah, man, that's the way it was when I showed up. I went Saturday because Saturday was a theme park panel. That's what I was really concerned about because we were at Comic-Con already. So we saw a lot of the stuff, and I didn't think anything new was going to really come out other than television with Disney Plus. So I went Saturday, and it was the same thing. I came in around 10 o'clock is when we parked because we had interviews, which you'll be able to see soon with some National Geographic explorers, and it was empty. Walking right in, walked right to the Hilton. Nobody was there waiting in line for their badges because we went in under media. Walked right out to the convention floor, me and Hannah, and nobody was there. It wasn't packed at all. Security was light. It was easy.
You know, and I noticed that too. And even on the floor, maybe for the fact that things were just so spread out. Like the Anaheim Convention there is actually a pretty big place. It's actually bigger than Comic-Con, where it has more levels on top of it. So you have the levels on top, you could do panels, you have the expo floor. But I did quickly realize as walking around, a big chunk of what would be Hall D is where they used to do the big panels. They used a portion of that to do cars from the archives from all those different movies, and then it stopped abruptly. I know that, I mean, the last time I was at D23 was 10 years ago, and it was absolutely totally different than what I experienced this time around. I remember walking to the convention and just right away seeing cosplayers outside, different everywhere, just like there was just excitement coming in. And then you walked in, there was the big main stage where you had guest speakers or something going on at every hour on the hour. It was just, you felt the excitement. But when I walked in, it was just like, oh, okay, we're at D23 and all right, well, it just didn't feel that same excitement. Do you understand what I'm getting at? Like, it just like, it's a different feel. Like, again, being at Comic-Con 2 weeks ago, there's a juxtapose of a difference where at Comic-Con, everyone's excited. People are, there's like your eyes are just always seeing something. There's something to always see, every nick and cranny. But here, it wasn't like that. And I was actually taken aback by that.
Yeah, because that's one thing I noticed as well when I got to the show floor. It was for it being said that it was sold out.
Mm-hmm.
It did not look like it was sold out.
Mm-mm.
And from what the pictures that I've seen from other people who had been there, yeah, there was a lineup at 4:30 in the morning to get into the main floor, but it's still, even that lineup was not as big as it was in the past. Before the pandemic, I remember the line was on the the below, kind of like a basement story of the convention
Right.
center.
Mm-hmm.
And that was really, really long because you had to, if you wanted to see any of the panels or you wanted to experience anything, it was first come, first serve.
Right. And I think, I guess I know that this year they decided to do virtual queues where you would actually have to get in at well, prior to the convention, you're able to pick out of these so many panels that you could get into. So
Mhm.
I personally decided I wanted to do the Richard Sherman tribute. There was 1964, and there's a few other things. And it was kind of like a lottery, similar to what Comic-Con does with the hotels. They did this with panels. And if you didn't get in, you can actually wait for overflow. But honestly, it's like you're going to spend your whole day sitting waiting for a panel or have guaranteed seating. So if you didn't get anything, then what were you going to do? Walk around the expo floor.
Mhm.
So that was interesting. And also for shopping, they did essentially another virtual queue where you every morning at 4 a.m. in the morning, you got up, you put into whichever store you want to get into, and if you got it, great. But in hindsight, you really didn't need that because after, let's say they start loading the buses over to the people with tickets to the Honda Center, the whole floor was just open. You could just walk into any of the vendors and purchase whatever you needed to purchase.
Mhm. Yeah, and that's the one thing that we face too as media, getting our media badges, is the fact that we got our media badges a week before some people got theirs, and they already closed everything off. So we weren't able to get a lot of the panels. I think we got one panel, and that was for Saturday. But anything that happened at Honda Center, we did not get any tickets at all because even media had to get tickets. And that was a hassle, and you miss a lot because it's like, for us, we wanted to bring you the best coverage we possibly can of D23, but it handcuffed us from really doing what we normally do best and doing great coverage of work. But when you're handcuffed, I mean, like at Comic-Con, we don't have that problem. We get in
Mhm.
Hall H. You were in Hall H for Marvel
Yeah.
and the boys and everybody else, and here we couldn't get in. Luckily, you had a ticket that you had
Mhm.
already purchased beforehand to get in and be able to bring some of that coverage of the Marvel panel that Friday night and the Disney Entertainment panel.
Yeah, actually, you know what's interesting about the Disney Entertainment panel? It was a long panel, 3 hour, 3 hours. Actually, let's go ahead and go back to just the way that was handled. I think that was a smart move by Disney to move those panels to the Honda Center to accommodate more people. I like the idea that you could pay a little bit more to have an assigned seat, and knowing that you didn't have to worry about if you had a seat for you to sit down. Like it was already there, so it actually made planning out your day easier to get there. It was just the waiting before you get there that took forever.
Okay.
I think that I wish that it was a little bit. I think they could have done the entertainment panel maybe on Saturday, Sunday, or something like that, and then Friday night maybe then the Legends
Mhm.
midday, just like
Yeah,
how they used to. But
yeah.
I mean,
It
go
was a
ahead.
great format back in the day when they had the Disney channels, the first Disney Legends, the first day,
Mhm.
uh, have the entertainment panel on Saturday and the Disney parks on Sunday.
Mhm.
But they decided to do it at the end, so I don't know.
Um, I didn't actually take the actual shuttle to the Honda Center, but I did kind of Uber, and it was quite easily. Um, it was easy. You just got there maybe half an hour before it was all going to start, and easy peasy. It was great. Once inside, it was just it was kind of like a waiting game. Like it felt like you waited a long time for them to get the show going. Don't get me wrong, they had like, they had a hype person and someone to get the crowd going, but honestly, I think we were just a little excited that we wanted to know what was out there. But the first night was honestly interesting. I was quite surprised with how many sequels were announced. I mean, so many sequels where I'm kind of wondering, is there anything else new that's going to come up?
Yeah.
Like from what they already announced. So let's see.
Well, I have a feeling that now that Disney's such a big company, and we noticed that Fox, especially Alien Romulus, which opens up this Friday, wasn't present at this.
Wasn't.
A lot of the things that they just acquired from Fox was not present at this event, except for Simpsons. Simpsons was present. You can see some Simpsons around, but there wasn't like a Family Guy or anything else that they have underneath their stable now. But they did have some big announcements on sequels, a lot of them. But they did show like they showed a lot of from what I heard on the Marvel section of this. They showed a lot of what was at Comic-Con, but a little bit more on Captain America from what I hear.
Honestly, we saw, what I can recall, I think it was the same trailer. It was the exact same additional footage. Because we all already know that Harrison Ford is going to be the Red Hulk.
Yeah.
That was a given. The only difference was that Harrison Ford wasn't there. The cast of the Fantastic Four wasn't there as well. Yeah. I think they made their bigger, with the exception of Daredevil, everything else that was announced at Comic-Con was the exact same thing that was announced at D23. At least in my opinion. I could be wrong. And mind you, this was already a day ago, so we can remind you that. But there was a few other films. Actually, let me pull that up.
Well, besides The Descendants, The Rise of Red being shown again,
I honestly see that was not unnecessary. Where we decided, why did we decide to bring up a show that's already aired? It's already streaming on Disney Plus. It didn't make any sense, and it felt like they were just kind of pulling to fill in time. Yeah, and it was unnecessary. I think, what was it? Was it the theme of music?
Yeah.
Was that Saturday? Because those 2 days bleeded together for me.
Horizon was Saturday, and that's where they had a full orchestra. Friday they didn't have a full orchestra. And sorry, I wasn't there because I was at the Foo Fighters that day. Gotta mention that.
Excuse me. Priorities.
Foo Fighters and Hives. I mean, that's more of a priority for me because we're seeing this all the time. But a lot of the footage that they showed that's already been showed. What we've seen it at Comic-Con. I saw it at CinemaCon. It wasn't anything new, but the new stuff was mostly from Pixar, Disney, Walt Disney Pictures, Disney Animations, especially from Lucasfilm. But yeah. And Yvette Nicole Brown was the host of that night, wasn't it?
Yeah. Let's see. I'm like, we did get the title to Freaky Friday. The second installment, Freakier Friday, with Lindsay Lohan and Jamie Lee Curtis. Lindsay Lohan this time will be taking on the role of the mom. So that's going to be very interesting. I mean, I know that fans have been requesting this particular sequel over and over again. So I mean, this one I think I'm kind of on board on, because this is one of my favorite movies, like from the old movies with who was it? Who was in the original one?
Shoot, I'm gonna have to do some research on that because I don't remember who was on the original one.
And it's Jodie Foster.
Yes.
Yeah, Jodie Foster. And so, of course, I love the original one. Of course, they redid it for television with Gabby Hoffman in the 90s, I believe. Then the Lindsay Lohan came in. That wasn't the one that took off. They did another version for Disney Channel, which I have no idea what that's about. and then this one. So yeah, it's a very beloved film. But it'd be interesting to see how a sequel takes on.
Yeah.
So that was a good one. I thought I was actually behind that one. We did get also The Rock and I'm gonna butcher her name. Alia.
Alua Kavala or whatever her
There you
name is.
go. Well,
Yeah.
yeah. They came into a talk. They did a little bit of a little bit more information on that one. Of course, we do call it's Moana 2.
Mm-hmm.
Let's
Well, when
see.
you can't get a full name, that's what you do. You just add a number.
Just a 2.
Exactly.
Which I already got was again necessary for a second part. No,
Mm-hmm.
but I can see because it is she's a wayfarer. She's looking for other people. So okay, there is a chance for more story there.
Mm-hmm.
Got it.
But
Get
that
it.
was the best kept secret for a while, because at CinemaCon is when they announced they were coming out with Moana 2 in November, and everybody in the theater at CinemaCon, even the theater owners, were shocked because nobody knew it was coming.
And at the same time, remember how they were talking about the live action version and how she like the live action at the same time, and they're gonna see like The Rock said, oh yeah, I'll reprise my role as a live action, and she said, oh no, I'm not gonna do it. I'm gonna be an executive EP. I'm gonna let someone else have an opportunity to do this. So I'm like, okay, that's great.
Yeah.
But it's gonna be interesting to see like 2 and then the live action. So
yeah,
exactly. And although the live action hasn't had an official release date, it's gonna be an interesting take because I'm like, they haven't been doing very well on those live actions, with the exception of like a handful.
Oh, I could name the ones I don't like, and that literally other journalists did not like either. Some liked it more than me, but there was a lot who didn't like it. Like Beauty and the Beast, I didn't like. I didn't like Maleficent 1 or 2.
No, you know what? I had to pick between Maleficent 1 and 2. I'd probably go for the first one. The second one I could do without. I actually did like Cinderella. I think they did a really good job. Cinderella was a good one.
Yeah, but you also had a good director like Kenneth Branagh who directed that one. So
right, that was like actually a good one. Aladdin was good. Aladdin was okay. It was fine.
It was passable.
It was possible only because Will Smith did have to fill some big shoes. Because like the great Robin Williams did such a phenomenal job with that part. Like there will never be another Robin Williams. So to take on that character that he originated, it's just a lot. So for what he did, it's fine.
Yeah.
But they also they announced the line. What was it called? The Mufasa, the Lion King. Yeah. Did we need another one? No.
We saw 15 minutes of it at CinemaCon. And I should mention to everybody, if you don't know what CinemaCon is a convention every year that happens in Las Vegas. They invite all theater owners who are part of NATO. It's a theater convention, and pretty much the studios show what they're presenting so they could get it into their theaters. And we saw Mufasa. We saw like 15 minutes of it. I thought I saw this in Lion King 2 or Lion King 3, but it was still the same characters from the original Lion King. But I don't get why we need a Mufasa movie.
I understand. Like the story is interesting. I really wish it would have been animated over live action. I think it'd be more heartstrings and more aiming to the heart if it was an animated feature rather than a live action. Because I don't know, it's just like, did we need an origin story? I mean, but I'm open to see it. I mean, my reservations right now is that it's like, I don't know, but I just want to see what they do with it.
Yeah. Well, hopefully I get invited to go see that, but after this video, who knows? Because we haven't even got into the good stuff yet.
Yeah, I'm like, so we'll see. Now, next coming up was the Avatar 3.
Yes.
I am not an Avatar fan.
Yeah.
I am
What is it?
not.
Fire and ice, fire and water,
Something
water
like
and fire.
that. Yeah, I personally will probably on the small percentage of the population who could have taken it and left it. I kind of left it. Don't get me wrong, like I love the attractions in Walt Disney World, but I had to sit like I've tried to sit down to watch, and it's like I get it. It's beautiful film. It talks about I'm like the message is beautiful, but it's just I'm not. It's not for me.
Mhm. Well, exactly. That's the same way I was. I was like, I enjoyed the attraction more than I do the movies.
Right.
It says a lot for me, but it never was something that I didn't see it when it first came out in theaters. I saw it when on Disney Plus for the first time, and it was a good film, but it's nothing that I need more of.
Honestly, this needs to be a challenge. Claudia, watch Avatar.
Mhm. Yes, exactly.
I don't have a lot to say about Avatar because I'm not an Avatar fan, but honestly, it's called it's coming on it's Avatar Fire and Ash, and it's does that have a release date? I'm not sure.
I think it's
No, it
next
doesn't.
year, December of
Next
next
year.
year. Yeah.
So,
Because I think Avatar took the place of Star Wars films in December because we have no movies coming out.
that is true.
Mhm.
But what I was actually excited about when they announced it's Zootopia 2, that
Oh, okay, yeah.
I was actually really excited because come on, Jennifer Goodwin, she's a great Judy Hopps. And
Yep.
it's such a great, like, a great, I don't know, it was like the first Zootopia had a really good message.
Mhm.
It just, and I'm like, now they're exploring different cities. They're going to the Reptar and then, Dev Reptar, and it's gonna be great. I think I personally thought was really excited. And then what's his name? I can't I forgot his name.
Will Forte?
No, not Will Forte. He was in Indiana Jones.
Antonio Banderas?
It's gonna hurt me. It's gonna bother
Um,
me. I'll
mhm.
come back to that. But yeah, no,
Shakira?
that was huh? Kira.
Shakira? Um,
No, she's probably gonna come back as Gazelle again. Who knows?
well, yeah. I mean, easy person to make the music, and also she's already in the attraction, so
Why not? It's
exactly.
funny. My friend actually at the point was working as an Imagineer. He actually worked on the Zootopia Land. Is it Shanghai?
Yeah, Shanghai.
Yeah, he did a lot of the dialogue and signage, like the
Mhm.
copy of it. Yeah. So if you guys know Kevin Lively, I worked with him.
Back in the day when you used to be on a train?
No, back in the day when I was a skipper.
Oh, skipper on the
Oh,
Jungle Cruise. Just like some
yeah.
great skippers like Steve Martin.
Steve Martin was no, he was a magician. He was not a skipper.
That's not what he says.
Makes just because he got on the video with Donald during the 50th to be a Jungle Cruise skipper. I don't think he was. But then again, I'm like, no, he wasn't. That was he? Okay, now I have to go look
I
that
didn't
up.
even know he worked at Disneyland. I knew he worked at Knott's Berry Farm at the Birdcage Theater,
Mm-hmm.
but I didn't know about the whole Disneyland thing. But yeah,
Was Steve
there you go.
Martin a Jungle Cruise skipper?
AI, go through Chat GPT and see if that was true.
That's what we have Google, my friend.
Mhm. Yep.
Google does it better.
Yep.
But anyways, let's see. Moving on. What is this?
And we'll bring up some
Spoken.
videos just to let everybody know. We're going to put up some photos later for the next panel. It's just Disney has copyright issues, and we don't
Yeah.
need copyright strikes.
I'm actually really excited to see. What moved around these panels that they weren't spending much time explaining what the story was.
Mm-hmm.
It was just like go, 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 move, 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 and it's like, but I want to know more.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, don't fail me, Disney marketing. Tell me what the story's about.
Mhm. Especially if
Now,
they're already in production.
yeah, like give me where are we going? Who are these? What are our characters gonna do this time around?
Yeah, other than a tramp stamp hippo.
This
I saw
one.
that one. I saw,
Uh,
I saw that one. Which
but
I was just
anyway,
like,
but moving on. We
yes.
actually got our first actual trailer. Good luck. Look to Snow White,
Mhm.
the upcoming the movie that had so much controversy behind it, with the lead actors and actors essentially. Um, well, I'll tell you one thing. It was a very interesting. What I found interesting was that the way the actors approached how they talked about the film this time around,
Mhm.
opposed to the
Two
how
years
they
ago?
talked 2 years ago. This
Yeah.
time they were actually very humbled and very appreciative about the roles they're taking on. Because as you
Mhm.
know, Snow White is the very first Disney princess, and it is a huge honor because that was Walt's baby right there. That was the first full length animated feature. It was where we got the multi-plane camera, where you can see it was so innovative for its time. It's actually was the starting point for the films that we have now. So
Mhm.
basically, that one had a had a walk, so everybody else could run.
Yes.
And for at first when she came out just talking just very negative about it, and like I understand she wanted to say like, oh, she's not going to be such she's not going to be stuck in those ways of that time. She's going to be more independent. I'm like, yeah, Snow White was very independent,
Mhm.
but you didn't have to put it in a way that you set so many people off in an uproar on social media.
Yeah.
But that was 2 years ago. This time around, they're like, it was a whole 360 where it was like, yes, I appreciate that I am Snow White, that we're bringing the story finally to life, and we're going to do our best, whatever. Another
Mhm.
interesting part about it was, you remember how the controversy about the dwarves? The dwarves are
Yes.
actually animated, well, animated,
Yeah, they're
essentially.
digitally animated.
Um, yes, they won't look like exactly like the animated 1930s version, but they're animated, which, you know,
Yeah.
I I get what they're coming, what they're getting at, but
Mhm.
I could take it or leave it.
Yeah,
I
and that's
just,
what's funny, the whole controversy, like, with that picture where they show that the dwarfs were not gonna be dwarfs,
mm-hmm,
and it's funny when I saw the Hunger Games, uh, the Ballad of Songbird and Snake, I believe it's called,
mm-hmm.
and that image that they were showing saying that they weren't gonna be dwarfs was literally from that movie and not the Snow White film. It And
Oh,
I
that
feel
makes
like
sense.
everybody was complaining. There's some people in this business, and when it comes to media, when we get media screenings, who get very angry at the controversies of what they have.
Mm-hmm.
But that actual image was from a Hunger Game movie, not the Snow White movie. So the dwarfs were not even created at the time. So during the production of the other one.
And also, in like, there's an image of like people dressed up as dwarves. That could also be mocap.
Hmm.
you know,
Yes.
it was very early in development that, you know, it's very interesting how things go astray with not knowing a lot of information about it.
No, I really don't know how that one works.
Mm.
Uh, Personal thing I was working on. It's on Disney Plus right now. Go check it out. I think you know which one I'm talking about.
Oh, I absolutely don't know about that. But I mean, honestly, it's like that one. I was like, I'm kind of excited because Snow White is my favorite. Well, actually, among my favorite princesses. I don't have very many, but that's amongst the favorite one. So
Mhm.
I'm actually looking forward to see what they do with it. But another thing they did announce was Tron.
Yeah,
Tron.
that one. I was shocked when I saw that one that they brought Jared Leto out.
Jared Leto coming out. I'm just like, oh, what?
Hmm.
It was, what is it? Is it? It's Avatar. Was it Aries? Tron. No,
Yeah,
I'm sorry. I'm
Tron
messing this
Ares,
up. Never mind.
Ares.
It's Aries, and it's kind of he's gonna play obviously a, you know, the bad guy
Yeah,
essentially. which is totally up his alley. I mean, let's be honest, Jared Leto plays a really good villain.
Yes, he does.
He does it. That's his thing. He plays it good. He knows his assignment. He's doing well with it. It looked pretty cool. They did give you a little bit of insight on what each character is. I forgot like the name of the actress is. She plays like a computer programmer.
My thing is like, did they tell you a story? What the story is about? Okay.
So basically, the world of Tron bleeds into the real world.
Mm-hmm.
It's what's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, Jeff Bridges shows up when everybody loses their mind because it's Jeff Bridges.
Yeah. Flynn
right.
has
in the actual the clips that they showed us, it was a light cycle race in the real world. And it's funny because they're racing down. I want to say it's New York. I could be wrong. I could be wrong what the city is, but they're racing down, and then like all the cops are trying to, like follow them, but then like they end up like going through one of the cop cars and splits them open. And splits the car open. It's pretty cool.
That's cool.
So it's kind of cool to see like Tron, the world of Tron into the real world. It's gonna be cool because I mean Tron, it's unfortunate that the second movie didn't do as well as it should have.
Mm-hmm.
I think because it was so far removed from the original one, I don't think anyone understood what the connection was.
Mm-hmm.
Which Tron itself, like the first one, it was one of the first movies to use digital effects, computer generated effects, and no one knew that. And like if you look at it now compared to the second one, it's like, or just any other movie coming around, you're just like, whoa, that's crazy. That was like the beginning.
Yep. I remember seeing it on a theater. Shows you my age.
Their hockey helmets.
Yep, exactly. And now you look at it and it looks like it's hand-drawn animation.
Yeah. I remember I was reading one of the, like when you work at Disney, they give you like there's a magazine they publish. It's called the Disney Line, and they were talking about how they had found those costumes and they were about to throw them away because they didn't really know what it was. And they looked up, they're like, oh shoot, this is like the Tron costumes. And they almost got thrown away.
Sheesh. I know. I heard that as well, that it almost got thrown away, and it's sad because it was such a groundbreaking movie that now everything is digital effects, and it also, I mean, a lot of it was from that.
It's very crazy. Like it's interesting. Like I'm thinking about how all the digital effects are now. Like back then everything was practical.
Yeah.
And in my memory right now, the only film that I can see that's coming up that is actually heavily relying on practical effects will be the second Beetlejuice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, that premiered. I guess he had a premiere last night for Beetlejuice in Mexico City yesterday.
Oh, really?
So their tour. I don't know when we're gonna be able to see it, but hopefully soon. Warner Brothers, please.
Warner Brothers, hear our call?
Huh?
Warner Brothers, please hear our call. We would like to screen your film.
Yep, exactly. There is a Latino in there. Jenna Ortega is a Latina, so she deals with the same issues.
We are your demographic.
Exactly.
We're Latinos. Exactly. Come on.
We're there every week at the movie theater. There you go.
Wherever there, we're always there. But exactly. I am actually Greta Lee, that's her name.
Uh-huh.
Her name is Greta Lee. She's going to be playing a computer programmer, I believe. And she's the one, and I believe if I remember, she's the one who like finds out that he's trying to like push the world, their Tron world into the real world.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I'm like, it's exciting. So that's an exciting one. So I'm like, and on top of all the plot around that movie, 9 Inch Nails did the soundtrack. Like, come on.
Yeah, exactly. Because I think even though the second movie did not do well, the soundtrack was amazing.
It's a banger. That's it. Yeah. It's a banger.
Exactly. God, why can't I think of the name right now? And I thought of the name all weekend.
Daft
Uh,
Punk?
yeah, Daft Punk. I mean
Heck yeah.
that the music from that was so iconic that it outlived the film.
It
And I think
did.
with Nine Inch Nails, it kind of gives you an idea what the tone of the film's gonna be.
Yeah, actually, when they announced the Nine Inch Nails was going to do the soundtrack, so I was up on the 400 level, so they brought out lasers and they made a grid, and
Mhm.
then the lasers spelled out Nine Inch Nails, like basically when music from Nine Inch Nails, it's soundtrack, whatever. And I'm just like, and everybody just lost their mind. I mean, come on, and it's like that's a band I haven't heard of in such a long time.
Yeah.
It's like iconic
It's
film,
just,
he's an iconic band. That's
to
it.
think that they're getting back together for this film to do the soundtrack for
Yeah.
this film. I don't know if Josh Freese is going to be free to drum on this, but I'm a drummer. Definitely call Fredo Ortiz right down the street. Play for the Beastie Boys, so he'll fit in just fine.
Why not? Why not?
Mostly just so we could get backstage and stuff when they have a concert.
Just be like, let me in.
Yeah, and I'm sure your husband wouldn't mind coming with
Oh,
us.
he's all about it. My husband is a huge Tron fan. Like, you don't even understand. He had when that movie Legacy came out, he had all the identity disc. He had even the white one. Jeff Bridges. It
Yes.
was insane. He actually this how much how nerd my husband is. He even made his own suit, and I mean, and it was a black jumpsuit with the light up piping or whatever.
Huh?
Like he went out. Let me tell you, my husband is a geek, and when he needs to cosplay, he's gonna go all the way. It's not like he's gonna give you 110% off every time.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I am luckily not that type of person, but if I do, it's gonna be if it's Star Wars related, I'll take that to another level.
I am not that person, but I love to hang out. I will lovingly support.
Yeah. Yeah. But then they also got into Star Wars too. To transition to the next one to get to Lucasfilm, which, let's be honest, there's been a lot of announcements over the years for new movies. There's it's funny how all of a sudden there's no talk about the Rey movie, which it didn't seem like they talked about it at all at D23.
They didn't. And
what happened?
Not until you mentioned it, like I had totally forgot about it.
Yeah. Because they had been they were talking about the Rey movie, which I think everybody already knew it wasn't going to happen because there's been so many different movies that they've talked about, so many different directors. It's like, and nothing ever happens. The television series have been out before the movies were, and the only movie they talked about was Mandalorian and Grogu,
which is going to be coming up. Will be then like Mandalorian is going it's going full length feature movie, so that's gonna be I'm not knocking Disney. You keep going with the thing that's working.
Yeah,
that one particularly worked. Like that revived it brought in a lot of new Star Wars fans.
Yeah.
It made the fan base a little less toxic.
Yeah.
Because it is a loved character. It's a Pedro Pascal. Everybody loves Pedro Pascal. That's why he's in everything.
Yeah.
Great series. I mean, what are we now? We're season 3, waiting for 4?
Yes.
Or waiting for 3? Yes.
Yes.
Is it? Yeah.
Yeah.
So you can only imagine like how this movie is gonna be a lot. It's gonna be great. I think so. It's gonna have that the fans are gonna come to the film to the theater and to watch it. Yeah. I can't talk apparently.
Well, it's coming out in 2026, so at least we're not that far away, and I heard production has already started on it. Without Pedro Pascal, because he's doing a little movie called Fantastic Four right now. So I'm sure once he gets off the shots and he needs to take out the helmet, he will be there on set.
Well, absolutely, and they'll probably film all those shots, you know, in a bulk, you know.
Yes.
But that's gonna be like that'll be an interesting one. And coming out, there's gonna be Jude Law did show up, you know, and he
Yeah.
came out to talk about Skeleton Crew.
Hmm. Did you
So the
already
way
hear
they
all the backlash on that already?
okay, first of all, let me tell you. Wait, first let's talk about what this film's about. Then we can talk about
Yes,
this. So
definitely.
the film is it's a coming of age film. It's kind of like the coming of age film of the 80s. So think of like the Goonies. Think of like those kind of films. It's gonna be, the clip we showed kids on an adventure
Hmm.
and they're finding who knows what. But I'm guessing they're called the Skeleton Crew. And it's gonna premiere on Disney Plus in December.
Yeah.
If you're a fan of like those films from the 80s, I think you probably would like it. But going back to Star Wars fans, we have other opinions.
Yes, and we have a lot of people who have made opinions already on it, already giving up on the show, just giving up on everything that they've seen. And to me, I I'm interested in where
I am
this is
too.
going and how it is. I don't believe in a lot of the way the Star Wars fans are.
Hmm.
It's just I don't get it. I don't
Hmm.
understand it. I don't get why they're so toxic. I don't it's like, yeah, let's be honest, some of them have the stories have not been good. Uh and a lot of it was I mean on the sequel trilogy and the decisions that were made, but also too there were decisions that you're trying to take a property and make it fresh again. Es-
Right.
Especially after 20 years of not having a film or 10 years of not having a film.
And honestly, when it comes to like the recent trilogy,
Hmm.
I feel the fan base that actually enjoyed that trilogy
Hmm.
is going to be the same thing as the prequels, where they
Yes.
had to grow up
Hmm.
to have that voice at the table to talk about
Hmm.
how much they love the film.
Yeah.
I see that happening. I mean, the most recent prequel, you know, I was okay with it.
Hmm.
I wasn't. I like the idea of having another strong woman
Hmm.
as a lead character.
Yeah.
Um, I very wish that they had not forced down the romance into it.
Hmm.
I wish it was just a woman who's strong and joining with the force. That's all we need to know.
Yeah. Exactly.
And I
The
hope
amount of
that
people with
huh?
your thought that didn't like your that thought was ridiculously high. And I was like, why? Why is it such a big problem to have a strong woman on screen?
Well,
I
it's the same.
just don't get it. I really don't get it. But you know how
I
people
don't
are.
get it either. But those are the fans. They're just like that, and you're just like, ay, ¿qué vamos a hacer?
Yeah, exactly. And like I had talked to Ryan Johnson about it when for his series on Peacock, I was able to like turn off the camera and talk to him about it.
Mhm.
And he was saying like the decisions were like he wanted to take it into a new direction. Like, what if things were happened, Carrie Fish, like with Carrie Fisher passing away and stuff,
Right.
and that these characters were getting older. So how
Mhm.
do you make that transition through it other than just having Luke become a Force ghost like Yoda did in Empire Strikes Back?
Right.
But I think where the story had issues, and I think if they would have continued with Colin Trevorrow's idea of Rise of Skywalker,
Mhm.
whatever it was going to be called before, would have been more consistent than getting rid of Colin Trevorrow and bringing back what's his name, J.J. Abrams to finish it.
Mm.
Which, and I think that's why we have these debates now, and they're not even giving it a chance. Like this series looks good,
It
and
does.
and I'm kind of interested to see where it's going to be, and maybe this is what will lead to the future of what to continue Star Wars. Because my biggest thing is telling stories that are not about the Skywalkers.
Mm-hmm.
Star Wars is there's a big galaxy out there and there's a lot of shit going on. So
Mm-hmm.
that's where the story should be now, is Star Wars saga concluded. Let's expand on that. Or even go back. If you want to go back and look at after Return of the Jedi, fine. But
You can I'm surprised they haven't decided to think about covering the Old Republic.
Yeah.
There's so plenty of books that have been written about Star Wars, just the world, and they haven't really tapped into those in
And a
any of
lot of
those
those,
books.
yeah, and a lot of those books are not considered canon anymore.
Yeah,
They've
yeah,
brought some
absolutely.
stuff in, like Heir to the Empire was not considered canon anymore.
Mm-hmm.
But those are the books where you could go through those books and really build stories out of, and video games that were made at the time. Nintendo 64, I forgot the name of the game, but it's like that was in between Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
it's not that, like, you're making harder work for you than what it should be, because
Mm-hmm.
there's so many stories, Timothy Zahn's stories, that could easily be translated to the screen and work. But
Yeah, it makes me wonder because you know how like Rogue One is a
mhm,
standalone movie.
yeah,
I gotta admit that's one of my favorite Star Wars films.
mhm,
It's so well. It was in so well. Characters that pretty much you don't see except for like Andor, because you
mhm,
see Diego Luna's character, which honestly, like moving into Andor, I mean they're doing what, season 2, second
yes,
season, that show's coming next
mhm,
year. Diego
mhm,
Luna did show up, and he actually was gushing about how he's like, it's very funny to see someone like myself in a Star Wars, and I'm just like, I'm in a Star Wars.
exactly,
He's all like, I've
exactly,
been doing this character for like almost, it's like basically 10 years, you know?
uh-huh,
It's like he still like can't wrap his head around it. And
mhm,
he's so appreciative. You know, Diego Luna, he's just such
yeah,
like a good person.
mhm,
You know, absolutely such a great and he's just like, I'm being that representation that I need to see in the movie theater.
mhm, yeah, and that's the one thing, like I told him last year, we got invited when we went to the Hollywood Reporters Latino Hollywood event,
Mm-hmm.
and I had just finished interviewing him for Andor, and I met him, and I was telling him, like, it's awesome to finally see myself in a Star Wars movie,
Yeah.
especially being a big fan. Like, that was my first movie I ever saw at 2 years old,
Mm-hmm.
and I remembered it exactly. I could still tell you where I saw it, what happened that day, everything, because it was such an effect on me. And to see Diego Luna, I told him, like, you make me proud to see you as a character in this. And it's proud because he was the first, one of the first for an actual Star Wars movie or TV series that I ever got to interview. And it meant a lot to me.
It does make me laugh. Like, you know, I'm still taken aback and like, what year are we in? And the power of the Latino as the powerhouse to um they're the ones who come see these films.
Mm-hmm.
And I still can't wrap around my head how a lead Latino actor's film is always diminished.
Yeah.
It's still like, we're here, we've been here. I'm like,
Yeah.
we will give you our money.
Mm-hmm.
We just
Well,
want to see ourselves up there.
and that's what I've told people. Like, if you look at Box Office
Mhm.
and Box Office Pro, and every week you look at top 3 movies and they have it broken down by demographic, Latinos are always the second.
Yeah.
Consistent. Number 1
Mhm.
and number 3 flip, but Latinos are always consistent at the
Mhm.
box office, which the MPAA, Motion Picture Association of America, which I'm an accredited journalist for, they put out every year their stats and their figures, and Latinos are always the largest movie going audience, but yet the stories are not told and the actors are not there.
Mhm.
So it's
It's
like, and as I'm getting older, I'm realizing now the big impact. I mean, especially as we go into Marvel and when we
Mhm.
finish it off with Marvel on the movie side. I mean, Captain America: Brave New World we finally have a Latino in the role of Falcon.
Yeah,
I don't know if you want to call him. I'll start it. If you want to call him Chicano Falcon, Latino Falcon, Brown Falcon, exactly.
Well,
Because
it's gonna be the name.
Because trust me, I'm gonna be friggin' right there with the T-shirt, right? Because you gotta support, and that's the one thing. Yeah, like we support everybody, and it doesn't matter who it is. But since we're both Latino, we support our Latino actors. And that's what we're going to do with everybody. That we've done that with Diego Luna. We've done it with everybody who we've ever talked to and ever become friends with.
Yeah. Did we mention that the Mandalorian Grogu? So that's going to be directed by Jon Favreau and David Filoni.
Yeah, Dave Filoni.
Dave Filoni, and it's coming out in 2026. It'll be the first theatrical Star Wars movie in 5 years.
Yeah.
So that's going to be exciting, and I'm excited to see it.
Same here. I am too. Anything to go to a movie theater and watch a Star Wars film, I'm always happy with.
Right. But let's see. So we talked about other things that they announced. Yeah, going back to anime. Huh?
I don't think there was really much on that panel for Lucasfilm.
No, well, they did talk about a little bit about Pixar. Pixar, we are getting after we're gonna get Dream Productions. So it's like a spin-off of Inside Out, because how top grossing Inside Out 2 was. I have not watched it yet.
I haven't seen it either.
Yeah, but I hear it's been doing well. So the spin-out there's a spin-off coming to Disney Plus called Dream Productions, and that's going to be set in Riley's mind in the period between the two films. So that's going to be coming to Disney Plus next year. So that's going to be exciting.
Yeah,
for those fans.
I agree. Even though I saw the first one, I haven't seen the second one yet.
I haven't had the time to see the second one either. We are also getting another Toy Story film.
Another one.
I am. You know what? Because I'm a child. I grew up watching these movies. I'm already traumatized. I'm just kidding.
Well, no. I mean, even me. The first one came out when I was in college. I think it was. Yeah, it was in college. Fuck. Sorry for my language, but yes, it's been a long time. And I remember the third one, I broke down just bawling at the end of the third one.
Oh my gosh, I watched it in movie theaters and we were just like bawling. It was, and then you get a 4. I'm like, a 4.
Yeah,
it was great at 3. Stop it.
And I was like, do I really need a 4? And then I'm like watching 4, and I'm like, oh, maybe I did need a 4.
I'm like, I did, yeah, exactly. And then, so this one is set to debut in the summer 2026. So this is going to be, so how do toys deal with kids who are obsessed with electronics?
Yeah, that's going to be interesting.
That's going to be a hard-hitting one, especially for like people in my age range who are just becoming parents. And they're kind of navigating that. Do I want my kid to be an iPad kid, or do I want my kid to play with toys, So that's going to be an interesting, like, I'm actually pretty curious to watch that one, because I just want to see how they approach it, because it's so relevant right now.
Oh yeah, it is. And especially when you see little kids at the mall and they all have iPads now, and it's just like, ooh boy, this one's going to hit hard. I
know. I was like,
yeah.
They also talked about Elio's coming summer 2025.
Yeah, that one looks good.
It's gonna be interesting. I'm like, again, come on, Disney, let's do better with the marketing.
It's not gonna happen. I'm sorry. They are not gonna, like, Pixar's gonna pick up the slack of Disney's marketing, because they're not gonna market this one well.
No, and the marketing is very, because I say, good, market a film well, they will come. And we haven't been doing that very well lately. And like, come on, like, there's been some great films that's come out, like Elemental. Ooh, such a good film. shoot, was it? What was the other one? Luca was actually a pretty
Let's
good
see.
film.
Was it the the other one that Luca was good, and I wish it would have came out to theaters instead of Disney Plus.
I
Turning
do
Red.
too. Turning. Oh yeah, Turning Red. Whew. Let's talk about like hitting in the fields. That was a good movie.
And that one pissed me off again because it didn't come out to theaters. I think it
Right.
would have done amazing in theaters, even and it kind of killed it when they released it into theaters for a limited time because people had already seen it. And I
Yes.
think that would have been a great film if it
Hmm.
would have been released into theaters and it would have gotten as much money as any of Pixar's big films.
Yep. Then they also announced Hoppers coming in spring 2026.
Mhm.
I still don't know what that movie's about.
Is it about rabbits?
I think it's the rabbits, yeah.
Yeah. I
And
saw some artwork about that and
and
about it.
then we're getting Incredibles 3. Another one I'm excited for.
Yeah, that one I'm excited for because at least we didn't have to wait 15 years before.
No, and that was another one that was kind of like the way number one, the first one, and how the number two picked up right when the first one ended. It
Mhm.
was a great transition. So I'm not really worried about that one. I think that's gonna be a pretty good one.
Yep, I think so too.
I think I'm gonna be all on board on that one. But I think as far as films, was that everybody? No, is that everything?
That's it. Oh, yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Like everything else is Disney Pictures, and which all that was shown of Disney Pictures was Stitch.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, Stitch. The live. Oh yeah, they did a little a blurb about
Mhm.
Stitch. Okay, first of all, I was really worried that they weren't going to do a really good job of doing a live action Stitch.
Yeah.
But what we saw actually worked. It
Yep.
was Stitch.
Did you actually see part of the
Hmm.
movie? Oh
We did.
wow.
We saw like a little blur, like no, well, not the movie, but we
Hmm.
saw like him,
Oh,
like
okay. Oh
he
yeah, when he came off of the screen.
yes. So that was good to see him, and I was like, oh, thank God! I'm glad they didn't do like a Sonic a Hedgehog
Oh
thing.
yeah.
I'm like, that's the part that we're like, all right, we're good
Hmm.
to go. But let me see.
Well,
Let's see.
and for like me, I've always said like any of these live action remakes, Lilo and Stitch is probably the best one to work for a live
Oh
action remake
yeah,
compared
absolutely.
to like going back into the Disney vault and going into those old cartoons. I've always felt like Lilo and Stitch kind of fits into that.
It's the story, the message of like family. It's
Mhm,
something that resonates. It's timeless, and
mhm,
it's was relevant when the movie first came out. It's
mhm.
relevant now.
Yeah.
So it's like it's. I'm very excited about that one. Yeah.
And let's just be honest, the reference, well, since Stitch's name is 626, the reference to San Gabriel Valley kind of hits close to home right there. So there you go.
Hana means family. you know.
Exactly, especially since it was off of the classroom in Pasadena. So there you go.
But yeah, there is that. Yeah, I think that's all the films.
Yes,
All,
exactly. And Marvel, everybody has talked about Marvel already. We know
we don't
what's
need to talk
coming out.
about Marvel.
Yeah, exactly. We all know what's coming out. Everybody's seen it, seen the lineup from Comic Con, the shows. The only thing that was really Agatha all along in September, which I don't know what that's going to look like.
They did, actually what they did do at the panel was that they all the her coven and her, they all came out and did a song. It was really cool. But
Yeah,
and I
yeah,
think I believe we have video of that.
yeah. We have video if you want to go see it. It's on
Hmm.
our Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, X, formerly Twitter, whatever.
I
It's
don't
that.
hang out in threads, so
Yeah, or Threads. If you don't use Threads, use Threads. Follow us at MUSE TV. You can find all the video content there from all the different movies. But we're getting to what we want to talk about.
hmm
for the second part of this live stream, and that's the theme park panel, Disney destinations. It was called Horizon. For what they said was going to be an hour and 30 minutes of a presentation, turned into almost 3 hours.
Oh, it was a long one, and it was like that.
Yeah. And
that was the one they set to music.
Yes, exactly. And that's the one that I was kind of like, let's bring this up right now. Here it is.
Here it is. Look at that. It's right there. It's right there.
Yep, it's right there. The D23 Experiences Showcase.
Whew, let me tell you, that's gonna be a lot.
Yeah, it was a presentation for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But let's start with everything that is guaranteed to be coming.
What part would you like to start with?
Let's start with this one. The most controversial one out of pretty much the whole presentation. They had announced that Walt Disney, they're making an Audi animatronic, which we've heard about for almost a year now. That was being linked, that they were making a Walt Disney animatronic that's going to be at the Opera House in front. I guess they're going to put a pause for Great Moments with Mr. Lincoln. And then they're going to put turntables after I think it's 3-4 months. It's going to rotate between that and Great Moments with Mr. Lincoln.
Yeah, so I kind of have known about this for maybe a few months now, because through sources of that have mentioned about that, and so I'm actually it's interesting to see, because the Lincoln figure itself is the first humanoid animatronic known, and now we have a Walt animatronic, which will be the most highly advanced. At one point, I think, at least when I was a cast member there, Lincoln was the most advanced humanoid animatronic they had in existence. So I guess at this point it would be Walt, which is kind of fitting. It's very fitting that technology has caught up to see that, to be able to accomplish that, and it'd be interesting to see Walt talk about his life story, or I honestly thought it was going to be something like I don't know, like AI generated character. I don't know. For some reason, I thought it was going to be like an AI thing.
Well, because they had a touring thing at a museum, and I forgot what it was, and it was a hologram of Walt Disney.
Yeah, so I thought that's what we would see. So I was like, oh, okay. But animatronic, it's interesting, because I'm sorry, but animatronics, like especially the Lincoln figure, when you see them up close, it's like, whoa. It's very jarring, because you're just like, eesh, that looks real. So it's gonna be interesting. I know there's a few people who are gonna be like, but at the same time, like, kids right now don't believe that Walt was a person.
You're kidding me.
I'm not joking. Like, they don't know. Kids now don't really know who Walt was.
Sheesh.
Like, they don't believe he was a person, that he's the one who created this place that we all love.
Wow. So now that's like, who's teaching these kids nowadays? It's like, come on. You can go to Griffith Park and sit on the bench where he thought of this whole idea.
Yeah, it's very interesting that they're on top of that, like, we don't see like the Magical World of Disney, or the old shows on Disney Plus. Like, they barely have the Musketeers, and they have like 1 or 2 episodes, and there's like maybe they don't have that portion of the vault accessible to somebody to learn about who he was.
Which I never understood, because I know they have like the Walt Disney World opening with the 70s Musketeers.
Right.
But you don't see those 1950s, the Annette Funicello Musketeers, which is kind of weird for me, that those archives are not around.
And I remember, like, growing up, like, before, when Disney, for a while, like, it'd be like later at night, it'd be like the Disney Vault, and you would watch the old Musketeers.
Yep.
And it played all in its entirety. So it's very. I'd like to see like the way it's set up. It looks like it's going to be Walt at his office talking about
Mhm.
Disneyland and his great plans, and it's
Mhm.
what it looks like from the image. It seems like it's going to be a very great reproduction of the office itself.
Mhm. Yep. Have you ever
Um,
been there?
I have not been to the office. I've been actually to the apartment.
I have been in his office. We had a tour of his office during
Did you cry?
almost. Well, because like there's a lot. It's
Yeah.
funny because like for me, my grandpa worked for him and also met him a few times when he was working for him, and it's kind of like it was weird because you feel like you get inspiration when you walk through there because I don't think there's many people who, as much as the things that people have said about Walt, and from
Mm-hmm.
what I heard from people who work with Walt, from like Bob Gurr and other Imagineers who knew him, and
Mm-hmm.
Raleigh Crump, I believe them more than I believe somebody else. And I've
Oh,
always believed that he
absolutely.
was such a great guy and so great to his employees
Mm-hmm.
and did as like and sometimes and that's the one thing like I think the History Channel did a great
Mm-hmm.
piece, the men who uh how Disney built America
Mm-hmm.
and how and it's true how close he was to bankruptcy every single time he did something. And Disneyland and selling and like pretty much Disneyland was at the time was separate from what the company was in order to
Mm-hmm.
keep the company safe.
Mm-hmm.
And there's not people like that anymore. Everybody
There's,
thinks about it as a profit. Disney was looking at it as something different.
I liked his, like, as someone who worked as a cast member there, who was able to, like, I worked on a railroad, and that was one of Walt's babies, and
Mhm.
seeing the care that goes into like how much pride those cast members to do with the engine and his trains to be able to take rides on the Lily Bell, which is the private car, presidential car, just for those who don't know. Too much information about Disney. But
Yes.
you sit there and you just like there was times like I remember when I'd be like I was late at night and I was like probably one of the third person on the rotation, and I'll just go sit in the back by myself. And it's very interesting to like take a ride around and just appreciate the land itself, or be there early in the morning when things are still getting ready for the park, and you start thinking about like someone thought of this.
Hmm.
Like someone said, I want a park that parents and kids could both spend time with each other and like have fun together.
Yeah.
And you feel it in the original park when you're walking in any nooks and cranny of that park. You still feel him around.
Mhm.
And so with the addition of this, I think it's gonna maybe bring it all together for people who know about his legacy or want to know about his legacy.
Mhm. And I
So
think
I
and
think,
I think you're right about that. 'Cause I think a lot of people don't really know who he
mhm.
really was as a person. So,
Yeah, and it's like I've been fortunate to go to his hometown, to this Marceline,
mhm,
Missouri, and it's so funny to walk down. That's like you walk down Main Street, USA, like
mhm,
the original main. You see the cinema
mhm,
that there, the post office, the you see the park. That's I forgot what it's called, but also get to see his boyhood home
mhm,
and actually walk to the barn, like the actual barn, not
mhm,
the where we have at Griffith Park, the actual. And then you walk in and you see people who have come from everywhere on the road that sign their names
mhm,
in the inside. And you're just like, you stop and you're like, this is interesting. Like, huh? And
mhm,
you really think like this was a man. This was a man who had big dreams.
mhm.
So like
Exactly.
bringing this is I mean it's fantastic. Like I'm
Mhm.
glad that this technology was there and they got the blessing to do it.
Yeah, even though it wasn't the whole family, and the whole family doesn't like it, but you know what? It's like I think to them, the easiest way to explain it is the fact that the longer we go
Mhm,
from his death and the
mhm.
further we get away from that, the more people forget.
Yep.
And I think in this day and age where there's so much division and so many people who are so against you doing anything,
Mm-hmm.
it's a good time to release something like this and to show dreams, because it's like Walt was an inspiration to me and this inspiration to creating this company.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I thought of it when I was at a park bench at Disneyland, where I got all my jobs in sports was at the same park bench. It's like and I think that's something that, and I'm going to mention it, the bloggers, the theme park bloggers and everything don't really show that well, is the history of what it is. The reason why things are the way they are at Disneyland, and why even with the expansion it still meets under Walt's original idea. And I don't think
Yeah,
they explained that very well of
they
how.
don't. They don't. Like I've actually, it's interesting because the last few days I've been like watching vloggers do their updates and TikTokers and influencers have you, and no one really and didn't really go into depth of why this is important.
Mm-hmm.
No one really talked about like, oh, they're gonna do this, move it on to the next week. So I mean, I'm glad we're taking this time to like, yeah, to talk about this incredible man that made such an had a dream and had a brother who could financially make it happen.
Yeah.
Because let's be honest, there wouldn't be a Disneyland without Roy.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing, like, and even going back where Walter Knott and Walt Disney,
Mhm.
I mean, Walt Disney went to Knott's Berry Farm and
Mhm.
see what he was doing. And they kind of spitball off of each other sometimes. And I think now this is living history. And I
Yeah.
think a lot of bloggers don't show the fact that not only is it just the original park, but you're stepping in the same footsteps as he did. And a lot
Mhm.
of the idea work, which could have
Yeah.
easily have failed, but the persistence and the way and the constant, how people are always so like, oh, don't get rid of that attraction, it's going to ruin the
Mhm.
park. Well, to innovate, you got to get rid of something, and sometimes people feel like that imagination is gone, but then you're seeing something like this where it shows that imagination is still there.
Yeah.
So hopefully it's going to be something that a lot of people will wait for, and a lot of people will see and appreciate, not just sit down and watch it.
Yeah. Like I'm really looking forward to it. I know a few people in the like people were like, wow, that's in the audience were like, whoa, that's
Mm,
like, it's putting things in perspective, like and coming up and now in the 70th anniversary of Disneyland coming up next year, you
mhm,
know, how much progression has the park done? Because you know what? It's had some ups and downs. Like, no, Disneyland was built in a year and
yeah,
had all its trials and tribulations as it is. And it's
mhm,
come this far. And
yeah,
like the park 70 going to be turning 70, the company itself turned 100.
mhm,
It's like that. It always comes back to that word. Like, it's like, as long as there's imagination in the world,
yeah,
like Disneyland will never be completed. And this goes with that, and like goes with not only over the vision for the company, but also like it does inspire you as someone, especially like from our humble beginnings,
mhm,
that if you really put your mind to it, you think about it, and you want to do it con tiene las ganas,
yeah,
you're gonna do it. So,
exactly. And that's the one thing. This was his biggest accomplishment. This is what carries the company today, which a lot
mm-hmm,
of people don't realize, that the
mm-hmm,
travel section, the theme parks, now the cruise ships and everything else is what
mm-hmm,
carries the company. It's not the movie
absolutely.
division, it's not the TV division.
No,
This division carries the whole company.
absolutely.
Mhm.
But that's basically what Disneyland is getting.
Well, yeah, and that's pretty much it.
But let's go to
Um,
DCA.
Let me see where DCA is, because all we're getting is different how can I say it, parades and fireworks shows.
Let's
Uh,
see. Well, let's go. Well, for Disney California Adventure, we're going to shorthand it as DCA.
yeah.
Coming there, we'll have a few experiences come in.
Mhm.
But let's
Which
go
one do you
scroll,
want to
scroll.
talk about first after I know which image to bring up?
Let's talk about, let's do Avatar Land, because Avatar Land's been in everybody. It's been out there and it's finally confirmed.
Yes. And that's one piece of a model.
That's one, yeah. I'm still okay. This land in Animal Kingdom is
Mhm.
phenomenal.
Oh yeah, it is.
Oh,
It really
it
is.
is. I remember going in, I was like, my breath was taken away. It was so beautiful, so well thought of and designed. The
Mhm.
attractions were phenomenal. So now it's coming to DCA. And at first I was wondering, like, where the heck are they gonna put this? I mean,
Yeah.
so rumor has it, and it's a rumor allegedly that it's coming to the Hollywood section of Disney's California Adventure. Uh, Allegedly, it's going to be in the same area as Monsters Inc.
Mhm.
Allegedly, Disney, don't come after me because this is allegedly.
Mhm. Just because you
uh,
work at a theme park, don't know who it is. Who are used to work at a theme park? We don't know who it is. We don't know
who
who you're
knows?
talking about.
But
Don't know where you heard it. But it's
this is
allegedly.
allegedly. I'm not. But if that's the case, I'm thinking at least.
Mhm.
Well, I'm thinking that first of all, the area is small, but if they were to take out, they were to take the former what who wants to be a millionaire show building,
Mhm.
aka Adventures Campus store, whatever it is right now,
Yeah.
and a portion of where the buses come through,
Mhm.
there could be enough room.
Yeah.
um but I'm thinking like they might have to if they do that, they would have to reroute the monorail. No?
Yes, they would have to because it won't fit
Right?
into the aesthetic. So they're gonna have
Mm-hmm.
to do something with the monorail.
But I'm curious, like, how are they? Like, when you're in Disneyland,
Mhm.
you feel like engulfed. You don't see the outside world.
Yes.
Like, I'm wondering how, like, how would they do that? Like, how would they cover that up? But
I
that's why I'm
don't
not an Imagineer.
y y well, and that's where you kind of like because you have the Tower of Terror, right? If they do go with right next to what Avenger Campus, you do have that
Hmm.
big 13-story tower right
Hmm.
there, and you got across to Harbor.
Right.
And it's like automatically, they're getting rid of the theater if it is gonna be in that area.
Maybe. And that's kind of because they've never announced anything else coming to that theater.
Mm-mm. And if they do, or if they're gonna gut it out completely and use it as a show building for the attraction, it's
Hmm.
very possible. But from
Yeah.
what I'm hearing is that automatically you have to put some type of rock structure around it.
Correct. Yeah.
That's the only way you're gonna be able to block it. And
Hmm.
two, it's like you have the bus stops right next to in back of where Monsters Inc. is, and pretty
Hmm.
much runs the whole length of the Hollywood backlot.
Hmm.
Plus, you got Muppet Vision. Well, it used to be Muppet Vision. Now it's Philhar Magic.
And it's like, are you gonna get that? You just
Uh,
bought that in.
to me, it still doesn't seem like enough space, especially since one of the buildings shares the animation building that's there. Kind of is a backdrop for Avengers Campus,
Right.
which is kind of and also where Spider-Man is,
Hmm.
kind of hits butts that
Hmm.
exterior a little bit. So it's kind of hard to see how they're going to shoehorn it.
It is, but I was also the one who said, "How the heck are they put the Galaxy's Edge back there?" But they did
Oh
it.
yeah. Well, Galaxy's Edge was different though because it just took over the stables.
It took up the stables and the paint shop,
Yeah. Yeah.
and the stables, the paint shop, Big Thunder Ranch.
Hmm.
That was
Yeah.
a big chunk, and they moved like in that they moved the Dominguez house over to closer to Team Disney Anaheim.
Hmm.
But I know I'm very curious about how that's gonna happen, but I'm actually interested to see what type of attraction it's going to be.
Well, from what I've been hearing, it's gonna be a replica, a new version of that Pirates of the Caribbean boat ride system that they have in Shanghai, where
Mm,
they can
all right.
control the direction and everything. And from what some of the graphics look like for this, it did look like they were gonna have that type of system on there.
It's, I mean, that's cool. I mean, at the same time, it's like, look, we're getting something new at the Disneyland Resort, so I'm gonna be behind it.
Exactly, because right now there isn't much. Even though I thought that this was going to go in that Disneyland Forward piece parcel that was across the street by the Pixar pier
That's what
because of
I
the
thought.
size of it,
Yeah, that's what I thought.
but I guess not from what it seems like. And
Okay,
if
so
you
we're
look
getting.
at the animation, if you look at the graphic, it kind of like it looks bigger than what it possibly could be.
Mhm.
So maybe. Well, let's go to the next one because they are adding another attraction, and they've already they break ground on it in 2026.
Which one? There's a few of them, so.
Well, it's DCA. I mean, what else is there really?
Oh, so we finally get that the e-ticket attraction coming to Adventures Campus.
Oh, we're talking about that one?
Oh,
I
I
wasn't
thought you
talking
did.
about that one.
What are you talking about? Coco?
I was talking about where in the hell did I put that? Sorry about that, folks. It's taken a little bit because we got a lot of screens open and a lot of things that we're pulling from different websites that you could go check out and read on your own as well. So let me get that for you really quick before we go on to what we're gonna show you. And then we'll end with Avengers finally saying something, which I'm shocked that they're actually gonna do something. Let me go here. Boom, boom. Where is the attraction art? I know I had all this attraction art like earlier, and I can't believe I didn't have. It was hard to find a lot of it lately, but we'll zoom in as much as we possibly can. Yeah, let me see if I can find another image. Shoot, people. There we go. That should work. Oh, maybe that one will be better. Open image in YouTube. No, that didn't work either. Well, here we go. Coco is coming to Disneyland.
Coco is coming, and I am actually excited about that one.
Same here for so many different reasons. But
Oh, absolutely.
yes, it'll be the first Coco ride attraction at any Disney theme park. And it'll be coming in, they start breaking ground in 2026. So I'm thinking it'll be open. I would like to say 2028, but Disney's construction schedules, maybe 2029. But let's cross our fingers for 2026.
So whatever I'm called, the type of attraction it's gonna be, it sounds like it's gonna be. Is it gonna be? I want to say it's a flume ride, but I could be wrong.
It is going to be a boat ride, and the
Yeah,
artwork. Here we go.
there
There's
it
the
is.
artwork. The artwork shows it's a boat ride through the spirit world, the
The
land of the
Lana
dead.
Del. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And
So
so when they announced this, Fernando de la Cruz showed up
mhm.
and he sang "Remember Me," and I was okay. So this is because we all know how Fernando de la Cruz met his demise the first time,
Yep.
and he sang the song, and I was waiting for like a banana to fall on him.
Mm-hmm.
That's just me.
Well, it would have been great,
It'd been,
but
it'd been
it's a Disney presentation. You knew that wasn't going to happen.
right, but like they brought out this the same character they have at Oogie Boogie,
Mm-hmm.
like that amazing character where
Yeah.
like the jaw, everything. He sang the song, and it was fantastic.
That's the one character for Oogie Boogie Bash that I wanted to go see. I don't really care about Oogie Boogie Bash that much anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Just hasn't been the same since they moved it to DCA.
Right.
But that one, when I saw that character first come out, I was like, "Ooh, that looks interesting. I want to go see
Very,
that."
very well. Great character. But yeah, it's gonna be great to. We are gonna have Coco. First of all, okay, now word placement of where this is gonna go. I mean, it's going to Disney California Adventure, but like where? And
Yeah.
I'm just like thinking, like, I mean, if they really, I'm thinking like this is me just really thinking about it. Maybe
Mm-hmm.
they put it in Pixar Pier, and I would say if they take out all the games, and if they want, they could take out that restaurant that everybody forgets about back there.
Oh yeah, which is a pretty forgettable restaurant because it wasn't that good.
Right. Well, and they like if they were expand all the way to the quick service, and there is room back there. Like honestly, if they wanted to go all the way back and maybe cut the access to what is that, Disney Way?
Yes.
Or go all the way over to Disney Way, I think they might have the space there.
Yeah.
But and it could probably extend all the way behind Incredicoaster.
Yeah. I was actually trying to pull up a Google map. Well, trying to get the map from my computer, but you know how Mac is with any browser.
It's like, what are you doing?
Exactly. Like, sorry, I'm not. Streamlabs does not work with this software because it's runs off of Chrome. But that's what we're using right now because Michael doesn't have any streaming software right now. But to get at, here we go. We got a map right now. Let me bring that up for everybody. Here's the map.
Mm-hmm.
So here's California Adventure.
Mm-hmm.
Aerial view looks really small. We know what's coming here.
Mm-hmm.
If we take a look at Pixar Pier alone, since we're on that topic, where does this go?
Okay, so where is
Right here is where they have the Fiesta de Coco right now. Around here, right by Mickey, Goofy Skyway, and things like it, and all that stuff. So let's zoom in right there. Go a little closer. Right there. That's where they have it right now. Where does it go? Other than not Disneyland Drive.
I'm just like, it's this was a hard one to think about. Like, where would it go?
Because if they do something here, you would have to get rid of the silly symphony swings.
They wouldn't make any sense.
With this, with the drop ride. And then what happens with Goofy Sky School because it doesn't fit into the theming.
Right. And now go scroll over to Paradise Pier.
Paradise Pier, right here. Pixar Pier.
Pixar Pier. So there.
Yeah, that's always going to be Paradise Pier.
That's the only place I think likely because there is room back there.
Yeah. Because right here is where Toy Story is.
Right.
And then right here
that building right there is basically it's a fire station. And those two buildings are entertainment rehearsals. And it's a rehearsal one, and I think one could be where they store the floats, but I think that's back when I worked there. That wasn't that. It was actually further up on the other side. But I think the likeliest place is probably in here.
Yeah. See, I just don't see how. I still don't see how it doesn't fit without going all the way to the berm.
Yeah.
You have to get rid of these buildings if it's going to happen. And then right here was supposed to be a ride when they redid the Pixar Pier, when they did it to Pixar Pier, and it's still empty.
Yeah.
So my thing, I always thought it was going to be here.
You know what?
This is where I thought Avatar was going to go.
But you know what? It could very well could be going there, and it could be like kind of like a bridge that you don't realize you're going leaving the actual park.
Mm-hmm. And people who don't realize aerial view, there is a hidden Mickey right there.
Yep.
But that's where this is all subject to construction. This whole parking lot is subject to construction.
Yep.
So that's why I'm just like, that's why I thought Avatar was going in here.
Because that's a pretty good chunk to do Avatar.
Yes, that is perfectly fine. Enough land. If you ever wanted to change the hotel theming and have it come right into the park, you can. But there is something that tells me that since Avatar will go into the Hollywood backlot, that this will be where Coco is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Especially since the Pixar Place Hotel is right there, which leads into a Pixar land.
And that could be a third gate.
Yep. So there you go. Because this is why I say, like, I thought it was going to go, Avatar was going to go here. Because when you look at the map, the entrance to Hollywood Land is right here. Well, no, it's right here. Wait. I don't know why it looks so different in this. Oh, here it is. Right here is the entrance. Here's the two elephants that they took away. So when you think about it, if they for Avatar, they have to go all the way around.
Yeah.
To fit it in. And I still don't know how they're going to fit it in.
Nope. I think the Esplanade is going to get narrow.
I think so too.
Yeah, I think that they're going to use a big chunk of that. And like, instead of it being like as big and open as it is right now.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be, they're going to cut into it.
There's no other way because there's not really that much expansion spots for Disney California Adventure. When they first built this, because I remember I was at Cal State Fullerton at the time when they started construction on this. I was at Rio Hondo at the time when they started construction. I was at Cal State Fullerton when they're getting close to completion. It was a big plot of land, but the hotel took up a lot of that land, a good chunk, at least a quarter of it. So that's going to be interesting on where they put this. Yep. But talking about California Adventure and Little Room, you could introduce the next topic of what we're going to be talking about.
Oh, you want to talk about that e-ticket attraction they've been talked about for
5 years?
Five. Yeah, you're right. 5. Well, 5. It feels like it. It could be longer. Who knows?
Yeah, exactly.
We're finally getting that Avengers Campus e-ticket ride. It was called, what is it called?
Avengers Infinity something or other. We got pictures. Let me pull them up. That one I could definitely see somewhere.
Let's see.
Infinity Flyer, Infinity Force, Infinity something. Here it is. Infinity Defense.
But we're still going with the storyline with King Thanos. Honestly, I just want to get it done.
That's exactly what I feel too. Like, I got a picture of it of what the actual ride inside, like what the outside section of the ride is gonna look like. And this is it.
Yeah, so we all know that that's basically that area where that gift shop, that gift shop is at, and essentially in the area where you see the Avengers out upstairs. We bet you that's basically around the area it's going to go. So it's the same thing. They released the ride vehicle as well, which has an uncanny resemblance to
Transformers: The Ride.
Yeah.
Spider-Man.
Yeah. So I don't know if they're partnering with a different with the same company, but that's Highland Kenny. We cannot confirm nor deny that. We actually can confirm at all that that's the same company. However,
Mhm.
it looks very similar to that
Mhm.
vehicle. Honestly, I hope this attraction isn't just screens.
Yeah, because they're using the same technology of what they have with the new Peter Pan ride in Tokyo at Fantasy Springs.
Yeah, and I feel
So,
that it's gonna be. I mean, even though I don't want it, it's possibly gonna happen. It is a strategic move because it is cost cutting.
mhm.
But at this point, I'm like, I don't even. At this point, I was like, look, I don't even care what it is. Just give it to us already. Because
Yeah, I saw the when I saw the ride vehicle, I asked one of the Imagineers, "When does groundbreaking start?" Because it's already been 5 years. This attraction will take longer than the second friggin' Tron light cycle run being built.
oh yeah, I know.
It'll beat it by 2 years. So what it'll be, 7 was Tron, 9?
Jesus. But yeah, so there's that. So I'm not even. I don't even feel like we need to dive deeper into this attraction. I just at this point, it's
Mm,
just let's just have it.
yeah, but this is the one part that I was kinda like, what the hell are we doing here?"
But aside from this attraction,
Mhm.
they actually did surprise us with an additional attraction coming up to Adventures Campus, and it will be called
This
what
ride
is it
sucks.
called?
Okay.
No,
Sorry. Sorry, everybody at Disney,
it's
but let's
called
be honest.
Stark Flight Lab.
Yeah. Harry
And
Potter, strip down.
so go ahead and talk about what's this is going to involve.
So, if I could find the image that I have in the concept art, and here it is. So, this attraction will be a Kuka arm based attraction.
So it's a cook arm.
Yes. And the Kuka arm is the same type of attraction that is at Harry Potter. And let me bring that up right here.
Yeah. So if you're thinking about was it Forbidden
Here's the
Journey?
Yes, Harry Potter and the Forbidden Journey, same attraction, which I thought was exclusive to Universal,
Mhm.
but I guess it's not because it's not a full, from what it seems like, a full ride system. Maybe that's where they're getting away from that. I don't get it. I don't know
Right.
what's this gonna do. Is there gonna be screens around there? Are you going somewhere? Or is it just gonna follow this track here where you're just
Mhm.
gonna sit down and it's just gonna pick you up, put you down, pick you up, put you down?
So what basically said, no, that's Infinity Defense. That's so basically you're in Stark Flight Lab. Um, Visitors are testing out the new Stark made pods,
Mhm.
essentially.
Yeah.
That's all we got from it. But if you think about Forbidden Journey, kind of like that
Mhm.
is what we're gathering.
With 2
As
seats
far
instead of 4?
yeah, but and like the thing about this one is that Robert Downey Jr. will be returning to reprise his role as Iron Man.
Mhm.
So he
But
will
Robert Downey
be
Jr.'s Tony Stark is dead.
not in this world. We do have a multiverse.
Oh, yeah, we do have a multiverse that hasn't really worked that well, but yes, let's use it.
Yeah, let's do it again. But he's going to be coming back for that. There's a whole picture of at the presentation. They showed a picture of Bob Iger and him on one of the ride vehicles.
Mhm.
So there's your proof.
Yeah, and this
So
is what's funny, right here where it shows that you get on the ride vehicle, it looks like.
mm, it's interesting. It's go ahead.
My thing is this, no connection on these ride vehicles, no connection right here.
Hmm.
How are these things gonna connect
Behind you.
without it flying? Oh,
You know what? There's people who get paid a lot of money to figure that stuff out, and then it's not going to be us.
no, but I'm just curious because the articulation on those Kuka arms is very intense. Going off of
Mm-hmm.
Harry Potter and Forbidden Journey, where
Mm-hmm.
there's certain routines that they could do where you're practically upside down
Mm-hmm.
and they could spin some of them. Not Harry Potter, but some of them do spin.
Right.
It makes me wonder what it's going to do. Because if it's just a Kuka arm like this, we've seen that before. They haven't lasted. Legoland had one. Epcot had one at one time.
So whatever can remember is that in this iteration, you'll be going on a mission with a different Avenger.
Hmm.
And
Okay.
each you're supposed to have a different event. You're supposed to have a
Mhm.
different experience each time. Just kind
Mhm.
of similar, like if you're thinking about like Star Tours, how you very rarely you have the same experience.
Yeah.
So essentially, you're just paired up with an adventure and you go do a mission.
Mhm.
So
So will it eventually be screen based or will it be goggle based? I
that's
wonder.
a very good question.
Because
They don't seem like they have goggles, so I'm gonna assume it is gonna be screen based because that's how Forbidden Journey has that and practical.
mhm. Yeah. And that's where I'm kind of curious of how this is going to work. And but they didn't show much, so
Yep.
what can you say?
So
So let's go to
there's
the telestrator and go to the map again. Where
okay.
where others don't do, we
We
do.
do.
We pull out the map and we show you what this land looks like.
And why? Because we are that thorough.
Exactly. We're journalists.
We're
That's why.
journalists.
We're journalists. Real
We actually
journalists. That's the
we are
great
actually
approval.
real journalists. I'm like, friends. If you didn't know, we actually are journalists. We're not just
Mhm.
vloggers.
Yeah, we have degrees
We
in
have
this
degrees.
field. Uh yeah, so we're really thorough and everything.
Mm-hmm.
So to go through the map and see where this is going, I really don't get why they're only giving us these two because
Mm,
there's a lot of land to build back here.
there is. There's so much, and funny. It's funny because people don't understand. Like, I guess everybody doesn't understand that has a lot of acreage back there.
Mhm.
And I think like the show building for the Avengers, whatever it's whatever whatever it's called. I can't even think what is it called?
Avengers Infinity Force.
I feel like you're right.
Let me double check and let me pull up my Infinity Defense.
Like I don't think their show building is gonna be quite as big.
Mhm.
I think if anything, it's probably the same size as Rise of Resistance,
Mhm.
which in hindsight isn't as big.
Yeah.
And also and it's not big, but also it's taking you through stories.
Yeah.
So because they're most of the real estate is going to go up, then they'll
Mhm.
have room for additional attraction there.
Yeah. And I think that's where if you get on Transformers at Universal,
Mm-hmm.
Transformers in Universal is a two-story attraction,
Mm-hmm.
and it fits the whole attraction into one building that isn't that big. It
Mm-hmm.
makes sense that it's going to be pretty much a replica of that in the
Mm-hmm.
way that is going to be built.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I agree.
Mhm.
They
This
have
flight
room.
school thing, I don't know where that's going because here, this is where Infinity Force entrance is. So where the
Mm-hmm.
artwork shows, this is where the entrance would be.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm pretty sure Q is going to go all around here,
Oh yeah,
which that means the trolley goes bye bye.
they haven't said it though,
They
but
haven't
yeah,
said it, but this
they
is
haven't
the
said it yet.
trolley.
That's the barn, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's funny because amongst people realization of knowing that they're like, oh, the trolley's going away. And I'm just like, yeah, it was a great atmosphere attraction.
Yeah. But
It
people
added
also
to,
almost got hit by it too.
huh?
People almost got hit by it as well.
I'm like, you know what? If you're not gonna move for the trolley, that's your own fault.
Well, yeah,
Put it
I
up.
agree with you on that one too. But
It's the same thing on Main Street. Like I
Mhm.
remember when they were training those cast members for the trolley. Like they came to Main Street on Disneyland to understand what it is to drive with
Mm-hmm.
walking passengers.
Mm-hmm.
And like I remember for the first year or so, they had so there'd be the two cast members in the trolley, and then they'd have another position called the catcher, who would be
Mm-hmm.
basically walking in front of them, be like to tell people, get out of the way, there's a trolley, you're gonna
Mm-hmm.
get hit.
Yep.
But people don't. But when you're in the world of fantasy imagination, you usually don't pay attention.
Those trolleys aren't real. It's all fantasy. They don't hurt
You
when
can,
they hit.
but I mean, it's the only place you can hear it. Neil Patrick Harris.
Well, yeah, true. But look at all this
Sometimes
additional land.
Yeah.
Going back to this, look at all this additional land
Yeah.
that may not be used, because I don't think that flight school or whatever is gonna take up that much space. It may only take up like what, right here.
Oh yeah, that's not gonna take up a lot. No.
Because if the entrance is right here and this is right here, you're gonna see the queue is gonna be right here. This is where you pick up the ride, and it's gonna go around and go like this and go out, and maybe it'll go around like this and come this way and then come around that way, and there we go. That would probably be where the show building is, and it's gonna catty corner and attach pretty much to where that Avengers Infinity Force or whatever the hell it's called.
Yeah.
I really think the name is not good.
It's a work in progress, I guess. I feel like sometimes you just have to put something on paper just for like patents, like for the patent and not the construction, the permits. That's why I'm getting at the permits.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah, speaking of, I just thought about the Avatar, the ride. It's actually going to be inspired by the Way of Water and Fire and Ash. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Those will be inspired by the second and the third movie.
Yeah.
So just bringing that back because I totally thought about it right now.
Yeah.
No, let's move on.
Still don't know where they're going to put it, but
no.
That's me.
All right, next park, because that's basically it. Was it?
Oh, yeah, pretty much. Other than Disneyland's 70th, which is didn't really say much.
No, actually, they were selling a few merchandise. They're selling merchandise over at D23.
Mm-hmm.
I am not. I'm like, it was all right. I mean,
much.
Huh?
To be honest, I'm not expecting much.
I'm not. Honestly, I'm a firm believer that they really did the best work during the 50th.
Yes, I agree with you completely.
That was a fantastic promotion. It really made you think about coming home.
Mm-hmm.
So that was, but I can wait to see. I mean, I worked through the 60th, so let's see what 70th comes around. I mean, excited to see what comes, but let's go ahead and move on to what are we? Walt Disney World.
Walt Disney World, where they're getting everything.
Everything,
and I'm not even joking either. I'm bringing up the first image of what we're talking about and that everybody's talking about right now, which is Cars coming to Frontierland. From what they were talking about, there's the map for Cars.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and as I'm sure a lot of people who will see this who know, this is heating up Rivers of America.
Right.
And I have mixed opinions about that.
Well, let's first talk about like what the attraction is, and then we could go back, and then we could go talk into the controversy behind it.
Definitely, you could go ahead with that one and describe the attractions.
Now coming to Frontierland at the Magic Kingdom. So they're going to get attraction based on the franchise Cars. So essentially, the way they set it up was like, we're leaving Radiator Springs, so that's the California Adventure, Radiator Springs in Cars Land and Disneyland, and we're going away from like exiting that world into the different world, which is basically it's going to be a ride that's going to take guests off-road, and another will be geared and and another one will gear specifically for families and young children. So it's going to be two.
Mm-hmm.
So here's what, this is what it's this is what the quote says. The American West has always been about keeping your eyes on the horizon, believing in yourself, carving your own path, and striving towards success. Josh Tomorrow said. That goes for miners in the mountains, bears from the country, a princess from the bayou, or a race car from the big city. So this will basically, you'll be in cars, vehicles, and you're going to have a chance to go off-roading into different elements. They'll take you to something close to the Pacific Northwest, to the forest. It's a lot.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. So, as you described it, it's going to be a big plot of land that they're eating up.
It is a plot of land. And, originally, let's go back to D23. Was it a year ago? Felt like a year ago?
2 years ago.
2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
They talked about this was a blue sky. Honestly, did they even... I don't remember even them mentioning it
was they mentioned Beyond Thunder Mountain, where they had Coco and Kanto and villains. The villains,
right? Those were the three that were definitely, they did do good on. But this one was a very out of left field. Oh yeah, very much left field. Yeah, I would have never thought like cars coming to the Magic Kingdom. I personally think this would have been I would see this in like Hollywood,
Hollywood Studios.
Yeah, I would think that because of the fact of how many different IPs are in Hollywood Studios.
Mm-hmm.
I was on board with the villains coming because I was like, oh, that makes sense,
Right. It's into Fantasyland. It's the antithesis to Fantasyland.
Correct. So this was an interesting spot, but now, looking at it on their screen during the presentation, like, oh, okay, cool, whatever. But it wasn't until afterwards when more details were released that they said that they would actually be taking up Tom Sawyer's Island.
Mm-hmm.
And so they were taking out Rivers of America and Tom Sawyer Island at the Magic Kingdom to make it into a rugged terrain for a rally race.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like, what? I mean, that's strange to me, considering that there's always a Rivers of America at each Disney park.
Yeah. Yeah.
It may not be Tom Sawyer's Island, but there's a Rivers of America.
Yes.
There is a boat.
Mm-hmm. So in every frontier land, because Shanghai doesn't have a frontier land.
So my question behind that is like, are they taking it all out, or they're going to make the Rivers of America smaller, similar to what they did here at Disneyland, where they rerouted the track and made it smaller to accommodate Star Wars Land, well, Mount Galaxy's Edge.
Yeah. Well, from what it looks like and what everybody's been talking about, right here is where the Country Bears would be.
Right.
Here's Tiana's Bayou Adventure. And this will be where the entrance is for Big Thunder Mountain. So technically, this is be the waterway. And Tom Sawyer. To go to the Telestrator, if you go from where the edge of the mountain all the way across, it's gonna be right here. This whole area would be the new Cars Land, but I have a feeling it may be just this eventually.
I feel that too, because I don't think they would take out the whole river.
Mm-mm.
I think
which I heard
what?
That this is going to be Cars and this back end is going to be Villains Land.
That's very interesting.
Doesn't make sense to me at all. I'm playing armchair engineer here. You shrink the river up to here. Cars Land, whatever the Cars area could be right here. And take all this for Villains.
Mm-hmm.
and have it directly behind the new Fantasyland. So you could enter, you build an entrance right here that takes you to and mock it up, make it look really like you're transitioning from someplace happy to someplace scary, and
Mm-hmm.
have it just focus on the villain's land.
Mm-hmm.
And it's something that when you walk in from Fantasyland, you see that in the distance. So you know there's good and evil when you're walking into Fantasyland.
And that would be a perfect transition.
Mm-hmm.
But they're
Because
still saying behind Frontierland, so I mean, it could go either way. Like when it
yeah.
comes to the villains layer, the villains land.
Mm-hmm. And that's the thing. Supposedly they don't want to. There's some people who think that they don't want to shut down the railroad again for an
Mm-hmm.
extended period of time, like they did for Tron.
Mm-hmm.
But this is all going to go away too, even where the riverboat is landed,
Mm-hmm.
which means they have a lot more expansion space over here as well in the
Right.
future. So it's kind of hard to see how. Why would you get rid of the rivers? Because this is the one thing that I have, like, this separates a lot of what the lands are in Walt Disney World.
Right.
And if you haven't been to Walt Disney World or the Magic Kingdom at Walt Disney, it's a different layout than Disneyland is here.
It is.
It's more rectangular
Mm-hmm.
than it is like
Little
that.
old business, like hub.
Yeah, yeah. And this does a very good job of separating Liberty Square because there's just no New Orleans Square there for people who haven't been there.
Yeah, and if you didn't know the difference, like the transition from Frontierland to Liberty Square is it's interesting because it kind of blends in
Mm-hmm.
a little bit.
Yeah. Because just to kind of give you an overview, everybody who is watching us right now,
Mm-hmm.
Adventureland is right here.
Mm-hmm.
And automatically Adventureland ends right here, right when you pass Pirates, and then it turns into, you'll see Pecos Bill right here, and it turns into Frontierland.
Mm-hmm.
Which always made me wonder why they brought Tiana's Bayou Adventure to Magic Kingdom, because it fits very well with what we have here at Disneyland. Perfectly
Mm-hmm.
well, shoehorned it in. You're right next to New Orleans Square, hits the theme. Perfect. Here is a different story, which I think is going to cause a clash eventually. Or they're going to have to make some changes with the Cars Land being implemented in here.
You could see that.
With theming.
You know, it's very interesting how they that's the area they chose to use.
Mm-hmm.
Unless, you know, I would say the only thing I could say that was probably the reason why they didn't, because some of that land is marshland that's protected.
Yes.
I would say that's my only reason I could think of.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, we don't really know until they break the ground.
Yep. And that's the thing, is even when they drain that water, you still don't know how it's not ready to be built upon underneath the waterway. Because the waterway, unlike Disneyland, where the water is pretty much pumped in, this actually waterway connects to the lake over here. Hence the reason why they have signs, watch out for alligators at the Magic Kingdom. It's not because they have animatronic alligators in there, folks. They actually have water moccasins and alligators actually swimming around in there.
Yes, I do.
And I really don't get how somebody jumped into the rivers of America over there and took a little swim without getting bit by something.
But since we did cover Cars Land and Villains Land that's the two coming to Magic Kingdom.
Yes.
So is that everything in Magic Kingdom?
Yeah, that's everything in Magic Kingdom. And the other only thing, because I think we're only going to go up to the American parks, because let's be honest, Shanghai's going to get some stuff, and
It's gonna be awesome.
Yeah, and we don't want to discourage people because everything at Tokyo and Shanghai and Hong Kong lately has been better than what we've been getting here in the United States.
It's been incredible, and I'll let you know when I go there again.
Yeah, exactly. Especially since in Tokyo Disney Seas, which was supposed to be here, is over there. And there's a reason why they never showed it here when DCA opened.
Yep. Now, do you
Let's
want to
travel.
do Animal Kingdom, or do you want to do Hollywood Studios?
I think a lot of people know about Animal Kingdom already because it's pretty much the same thing that they showed in 2022. I say we conclude with Hollywood Studios.
All right, guys. Hollywood Studios. Well, what can I say? But we're finally getting a Monsters Land coming to one of the Disney parks.
Mm-hmm.
And what's even better about that, it's going to be... actually, when they presented, they had actually Billy Crystal, who is the voice of Mike Wazowski, come out.
Mm-hmm.
And he introduced the new land, which in my wildest dreams, I never thought we'd get a Monsters Inc. land.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we have the attraction here at Monsters Inc. Is it Mike and Sully to the Rescue?
Yes.
Here at Disney California Adventure, which when I first became a cast member, was able to do a preview of it, which was amazing. And I still remember that's the first attraction I got to ride before it was open to the public, and it was the most phenomenal ride. I always remember that.
Yeah, definitely better than Superstar Limo.
Absolutely. So basically, in this land, humans are actually going to Metropolis, where we're going to have to help Mike and Sully with laughter to power the city. You know, because laughter power is stronger than screams. We know this.
Mm-hmm.
So we're gonna get to experience the factory and ride a roller coaster based on, well, let's put it this way.
The door.
Watch the movie and be like, man, wouldn't it be cool if we go through the doors?
Yep.
And guess what? We get to do it now.
Exactly.
So it's gonna be the first suspended coaster ever at a Disney park.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, how the claws grab, how then the movie, the claws grab the door and hoist them up and takes them to a different area. Mm-hmm. We're gonna be able to do that, and that's gonna be freaking awesome. Like every millennial screams so loud, and I know I was among them. Like, oh my god, we're finally able to do something that we've only in our wildest dreams thought about. So that's gonna be awesome.
Yes, it is. And I've seen some of the pictures here of what it's possibly going to look like.
The speculation right now is like where they put it.
And going to the telestrator, let's go to the Walt Disney MGM Studios.
Is that Disney MGM Studios?
Well, no longer MGM. Now it's just Hollywood Studios.
Hollywood. Okay. People are still speculating. I mean, some people say it's going to be in the area where the Muppets is at, but I don't think so.
It's not big enough. You would have to take out Star Tours,
and they're not. They might not do that.
Yeah.
But another speculation would be they'll probably put it at where Rocky Roller Coaster is, because I believe the contract is done in a year or so.
Mm-hmm.
So that was the other possibility where they might put it.
Yep. And they have Lightning McQueen's Racing Academy, which they could get rid of very easily.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Because that's just
not an attraction at all.
No, and I'm sorry. It's kind of like, well, it's the Galaxy's Edge there at the airport takeover where Lights Motor Action was at.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. I'm trying to
Yeah, still under construction in this photo.
Yeah. But, I see, any of those places probably be it.
Mm-hmm. And this is why I say this is going to be the ideal place, like you said. Well, you didn't say this. I said that earlier before when we're prepping for today's show. Star Wars launch parade will be
Mhm.
gone. That will be the entrance, and it'll go all the way over here, with the
Which
roller
makes
coaster
sense.
being back here. It makes a
That
lot
makes
of sense.
yeah. I felt did
But
they it was that the only attraction they announced for that?
yeah, but I think there was supposed to be a family attraction along with that as well. At least that's what they had. It's probably going to be 2 attractions in there.
I believe so. But that was the big ones they announced that they were coming. I'm actually
Mhm.
excited about. I think if they did such a good job as Zootopia Land and Zootopia, I'm sorry, Zootopia. It
Mhm.
was in Shanghai, Shanghai,
Yeah,
or Hong Kong. Yeah.
Shanghai.
It's Shanghai, and it's. I think if they totally do the same thing, we're in good hands.
I agree. I agree.
But other things that announced for Magic Walt Disney World was, of course, dinosaurs going to get rethemed to Indiana Jones.
Mhm.
They're saying that's going to be a different storyline. But if you already know, dinosaur is the exact same right attraction as Indiana Jones here at Disneyland Park.
Yeah.
The exact same layout, track, and everything. The only difference
Mhm.
is the theming.
Yes.
And I see that what's going to take them long. I think will take them long to do would be the outside of the show building and then the retheming.
Mhm.
It's gonna. I don't think it'll take them as much. They've said that they're gonna do a staggered retheme just to allow people to ride it as dinosaur before it gets completely overhauled.
Mhm.
We're also gonna get the attraction and Encanto attraction, which is gonna be based on Antonio's day where he gets his gift, and we get to
Mhm.
go through Casita.
Yep.
So that's gonna be fun. I'm actually looking forward to it. And there's also added where they're also gonna get a merry-go-round there. It's gonna
Mhm.
have the animals on the merry-go-round are gonna be characters from different Disney films.
Yep. We
Disney
already
Pixar
saw
films.
Kevin. That's
Yeah,
what
we
they
did.
displayed at D23 was a Kevin carousel piece.
Yeah. So I mean, honestly, I'm totally good. Like I think this is a great move by Disney because this part it used to be Dino Land, and
Yeah.
if you know the backstory of Dino Land, well, just Animal Kingdom, they're supposed to be was it a Dragon Land,
Yeah, it was supposed to be mystical animals.
right? And that didn't never came into
Fruition.
fruition. There you go. Thank you. This is why I'm Latina and I can't speak English sometimes. But anyways, that and Dino Land honestly was just one of those dying lands that they needed to do something with, and you know, it's gonna. But the only thing I mean, it's great the going leaning hard into that Latin America feel.
Mhm.
It's gonna be interesting having the attraction and the stunt show.
Yes.
So that's
Yeah.
gonna be interesting. But I wonder. I can only see what the storyline behind that's gonna be like. Be like,
Yeah.
you can ride the ride, but then you're gonna be part of the stunt
Mhm.
show.
You could go into a Mayan temple, even though let's be honest, Tokyo Disney Seas already has a temple there.
It's a very good one, actually.
Yeah, and it looks a little different. The one that they're gonna have is a little different, but
Yeah,
I mean,
it is a little different, but
but,
it's
yeah. There you go.
what was
There's the piece.
the town called?
I forgot what they're gonna call it. Let me see. Puebla Esperanza.
Puebla
Pueblo
Esperanza.
Esperanza.
So, okay, let me tell you something about this. I was watching a vlogger this morning, and they're, obviously because, most of the vloggers are not Latinos,
Yes.
and they're asking, what is like, oh, what does that mean again? And I
Hmm.
literally went,
Yep.
so yeah, it's gonna be. I want to I hope that when they explain the storyline,
Hmm.
that it's cautious about informing
Hmm.
correctly. So I hope there's someone out there with those credentials who can speak on that.
I'm here.
I'm here too.
I don't mind taking a job at Disney to do that, but
Hey
something.
Disney, where we have like we have receipts, and we'll
And
be more
also
than happy to
too,
help you.
and also let's be honest, Disney, if you do watch this, which I don't know if you will or not, um, you have a little show on Disney Plus where you had a very hard time dealing with controversies with Latin America. And if you think that was bad, wait till you try and represent a whole land. And if you don't get it right, what it's going to be like.
Yeah.
Just saying, because if they got over a cartoon, this is something completely different.
Yeah.
But I like the artwork. It fits
Oh yeah,
into
it's beautiful, and I guess this storyline's gonna have a mythical, like indie being Indian, always up for an adventure. He's gonna go. Apparently, he's heard about some mythical creatures and about to go and figure and find what that is. So I mean, I'm like, I like the Indiana Jones franchise. I love Indiana Jones and the Temple of Forbidden Eye here at Disneyland. I love it in Tokyo. Like honestly, it's a great attraction. Like they can't do wrong on this one.
Yeah, exactly. And it's not going to take that long to change the overlay on it and just
Right.
to reprogram the vehicles. I think that will probably be the first thing that after they shut down Dinosaur, which I heard next year they start construction. So I
Yeah, they're
wouldn't
gonna do.
be surprised if they
Yeah.
shut down Dinosaur next year.
Hmm.
So that would be I could see that being
I could
a
see it
really
too.
popular attraction. Going to the telestrator over here and going to the map where it is. A lot of the buildings are also going to be the same. They're going to keep a lot of the buildings, from what I heard.
Yeah, which is good. I mean, it's gonna help move the process along.
Hmm. Because this is staying, this area is staying,
Hmm.
and they're going to build into something around here, which maybe they might eat into the waterway or not eat into the waterway. Let me see about the entrance. It's possible they do it before the waterway hits. So right here.
Mm,
Oh, right here is going to be the main. Wait, that's the main entrance. It'll be right here.
yeah.
And then Encanto would be right here. Carousel will be where the boneyard is. And of course, Dinosaur is Dinosaur right here.
Hmm.
But it fits. It fits into the area. So,
Yeah, like I have no like honestly, I think it was a great move. They thought I'm like that was really a great session. They thought about it, how to revitalize a land that was honestly like I've been in the last I went what 3 4 years ago maybe,
mhm.
and that section of that of Animal Kingdom was just so like it was dead. There was nothing to do. Like once
It
they
was
took out the roller coaster,
the
Dino World, I think it's called
Triceratops
something.
spin or whatever it is.
There you go. There was nothing there. It was just like a seating area for you, like when you bought food.
Yeah, I've only been there once, and I've already freaking. I went there and I was like, okay, I don't get it. It made
Hmm.
no sense. Like even the boneyard and where they had dinosaur made sense. And then you
Hmm.
cross this, you finally see a street, and it looks like a roadside carnival, which with dinosaurs.
Oh, because it's supposed to be like a roadside attractions.
Yeah, and it
So
just
like
doesn't.
basically, like they found some dinosaur bones or whatever,
Hmm.
and this couple decides to have like kind of like a tourist trap.
Yeah,
That's what they were going for. I
you
mean,
know they could have done that spin thing with the bruja who dances on the middle, right, and have everybody just sit around. I mean, that would have been the best attraction there.
dude, that woman is that woman is so popular too. It's kind of funny. I mean, they
Yeah, I would have at least brought some people around and got a lot of video, but
could.
um, yeah. So yeah, I'm glad about that one. And it looks like they're gonna cut. It opens up entirely in 2027. They're doing it in two phases,
Mhm.
so at least they get it done. And I think
So
it's gonna be a great
basically,
time.
if you love dinosaur, now's the time to go ride it. Get your rides in.
Yeah, I've already ridden it. I am good for next year when I go.
I rode it a few years ago, and I'm good. I mean,
And that's why, as we're ending it with this overview and recap and our thoughts. Now that's a different one, especially when it comes to the theme park. We both have worked at theme parks. Claudia at Disneyland, me at Universal Studios, and I've been a Disney fan all my life. But I still feel they're not doing enough to compete with what Universal's doing.
I agree. I feel that phase where they kind of halted everything, and they were just kind of trying to keep the company afloat, or trying to be more careful, more strategic about their plans. They lost their momentum because that's when Universal went like 100 in finishing their projects. So they said, "Oh, we're close. Okay, you know what? This is our time to like get things fixed, create, like finish our projects, do this." And right now, like they're on par, like with Epic Universe opening what next year?
Next year.
Next year. I mean, man, let me tell you, I'm excited, and just the way they introduce each land, where if you were one of those lucky people of the media who got the, what is it called,
The Chronos.
the Chronos, and you received, every time you received a coin, you that's when they announce a new land. And then when you see the whole mock-up, the whole outside, and you're able to use AR app to open up the land to see it come to life on the display. I mean, that is thinking outside the box. That is thinking beyond what it could be. And I very wish that Disney would think that way again.
Yeah. And this even started before the pandemic.
Absolutely.
And it started back here when Orlando did the Harry Potter, and they did Hogsmeade, and they brought Hogsmeade here to Universal Studios Hollywood. You started seeing that Universal was really trying to make a play.
Yeah.
Bringing in some atmosphere, bringing in people who could interact with the guests. Disney tried to do that with Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, and it never met to what they sold it as.
No, it didn't. Like there was just so many promises that were scaled back. Like, is Galaxy Edge is it a good land? Yeah. But I feel that they promised so much that it lost its way in the process.
Yeah. Especially with the fact of having the storyline based in the new trilogy and not as a whole, really hurt them.
Yeah.
Because there was only so much you could go by. You couldn't bring in a Darth Vader or a Han Solo. And to be honest, you couldn't even bring in a Mandalorian because it was too far ahead from when the Mandalorian story is, and they had to literally just break that up. And I think that's the last since 2017 when Harry Potter opened in Hollywood, and 2014 when it was in Orlando. You could see it coming, and I could see why. I think a lot of people think that Universal can never catch up to what Disneyland has done. I think otherwise, because of the fact that it doesn't take much to change to change the gravity of what people are going to be spending their money on. As Disney World's getting more expensive, and as Universal's building a new park, there's going to be limited dollars. And what are you going to want to go see? The new, or go back to what you've already seen?
You're going to want to go and do something new.
Yeah. And they didn't need to build a new land at Walt Disney World at all.
No, they didn't.
Constantly building new attractions. And that's what I say about here at Disneyland. I was an annual pass holder since 1992. Back when it was $99 for an annual pass, and you go whenever in the world you want. And the price kept going up and up and up once we hit the 2000s.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's to the point where it's like, for me to justify me buying an annual pass, like I want to see something new at a park every single year or
Mm-hmm.
every other year to justify the price increase.
Yeah.
And
I'm
I
like,
don't see that at Disneyland.
it's interesting because I am a Magic Key holder and I do it because, Disney has such been a big part of my life as like towards my college years up to now.
Mm-hmm.
But I do see like there's not a lot to do anymore.
Mm-mm.
It's not something that I'm just like, oh, I need to do this. It's not. And I don't know, is like it makes me wonder, is like you have so many incredible people there, but like you cannot find you lost your way and what does it take for you to come back?
Yeah. And they lost their way to appease stockholders.
Yes.
That's what eventually comes down to, is appeasing the stockholders and raising the stock price. When automatically, when you really think about it, the stock price is going to raise if you do a quality product that justifies the price.
Mm-hmm.
But when
Yeah.
you're putting out nothing and just adding street shows and new fireworks shows,
Mm-hmm.
like people aren't going to spend $300. Or was it now? Somebody was telling me that for a family of four now to go to Disneyland, as you're already hitting over $1,000 before you even step foot at any of the parks, and that's not even, and that's for a park hopper.
Yeah.
And it's like if you're not getting new attractions every year, I mean, how are you supposed to justify that?
It's not even like every year, like
Or every
something.
other year?
I mean, I miss the summer promotions.
Mm-hmm.
Or remember the kefir?
Yep.
Those are things that like for the everyday person who can't afford to buy a pass, who can't afford to, like has to basically save all year to go to this trip, and then you get there and just like, well, half of the park is being refurbished or something.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm curious to see if that changes with the 70th coming up.
Yeah.
Like what is going to be the big drive, because the 60th was the diamond celebration, but what did that mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like that wasn't like I remember being the date of the anniversary, and it's like they go, oh, dress up like like if you're coming to Disneyland in the 50s or whatever. And I remember they introduced the Disneyland band, and Disneyland band at that point had been recast,
Mm-hmm.
and it just came out, and everybody's like, who are these people? you
Yeah.
know,
Mm-hmm.
it was very awkward and very like it didn't seem like it was like a cohesive messaging together. Like it was very pieces here, pieces there, pieces that, and then of course they did a dedication at the time the park was dedicated. But aside of that, there was no like promotion to entice you to show up. It's like
Yeah.
felt like, oh yeah, that's right, we're turning 60 this year. Let's do something.
Yeah. And that's why, like I say, like being somebody who was a pass holder, since because that was my whole thing. Like I always wanted, as soon as I could afford an annual pass and I had a car,
Mm-hmm.
I always wanted to be able to go to Disneyland whenever I wanted to. And I was in high school at the time. And I remember the promotions, like $99, but they had an annual pass holder day every January where for an extra $25 per person, you could bring your whole family with you. You got one
Mm-hmm.
ticket because you're an annual pass holder. If you want to bring more people, it was $25 to bring them with you. And they had
Mm-hmm.
that every year. And it was like a treat for the annual pass holders.
Mm-hmm.
And those started going away.
Mm-hmm.
And then in the early 2000s was when you started seeing, well, they also had in the 90s, early 2000s, where you would have like a date night ticket
All
after
right.
6 o'clock. If you wanted to bring a date to Disneyland, it was only $20 that you had to pay, and you got in at 6 or 7 o'clock till the park closes.
That's cool.
And those were great perks. That's what was perks, were really perks.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like it all changed when social media started becoming more popular, where
Yeah.
there was this fan base that just started coming in, and Disney realized, and I'm sorry to tell everybody who's listening who is a Disney fanboy, who goes to the park every single day now. Disney listens to you by what you do with your wallet.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're constantly putting in there and you don't like what you're seeing, if you don't go to the park anymore, things will change. And that's where I started losing interest, is like in the 2010s when you started seeing these Disney gangs wearing gang jackets at Disneyland, which is like growing up in East LA and seeing real gangs. You're like, what the hell is all this?
Mm-hmm.
Then it was mommy bloggers. Now it's theme park bloggers.
Theme
And
park influencers. Actually, let me go back to let's seeing influencers at D23. This was very a strange observation that I did. So we have, the influencers are and vloggers here on the West Coast, and they strictly just do Disneyland, just do Knott's, just these theme parks. And I can support with like, it's fun. The running joke, for at least when I see it, it's like the state of blah blah blah. What's the latest update of whatever? And I'm like, and there's literally nothing's really happened.
Yeah.
And see them, and then you have your East Coast vloggers from Florida. So those are the people who've been vlogging Disney World like more than a decade.
Mm-hmm.
And they're coming over and they seem like out of their element.
Mm-hmm.
They seem like, and I kept walking by observing like those names that and I'm not going to mention them because I'm not giving them clout.
Yeah, we're not giving them free promotion. I'm sorry.
We're not. But think of the ones you would, if you look for Disney influencers both on TikTok and YouTube, and they just look like they were lost out of their element.
Yeah.
All of them, actually, both parks, I saw West Coast ones and they were just like, boom, boom, boom. Let me show you about da-da-da-da-da-da-da. While the East Coast ones kind of felt like they were just like experiencing a whole new world.
Yeah. There is one YouTube channel that I will actually give clout to. I give them a shout out to because WDWNT does do a great job of giving you information.
Yeah, they actually do. I actually was just watching their breakdown of just D23 in general, like their honest opinion.
Yeah.
And it was very informative. Like there are some things I can disagree with them, but I do like that they do present information and you very much in a easy digestible way. So if we have I would say they do treat their updates on the theme parks as a news service, and it actually they do it with ethics.
Yeah, and that's the one thing. My executive producer for the travel show that we're doing here on Muse, the theme park travel show, used to work for WDWNT, and he told me how thorough they were. Even though sometimes I don't remember if he already said that, but the fact of coming to the Disneyland every day, because there wasn't much to do every day.
There isn't.
But it's just, and I think that's why when we go down and we're really breaking down this whole D23, the whole Disney fan base, it's the fact that like there really isn't much to do every day. Like we don't get invited to Disneyland for media days. We never really have. We'd cover every other theme park around Southern California except for Disneyland. And we used to go in with our annual pass and go film things that we thought were new or important, like Cars Land when it opened up, buying and donating the money to Chalk, not only because it's a great charity, but it also got us exclusively into Cars Land and be able to film Cars Land before it was open to the public. I mean, it's great that they have the media out there, but they're really not. Media hasn't really been there in a while either. A lot of it is focused on bloggers and influencers now going to Disneyland, and it's hard to give a good perspective on what's really going on in the park, because you really don't need to be there every day just to film what's going on, because things aren't happening every day. Funny story, perfect. At Universal, they're building the new Fast and Furious roller coaster. And there's so many bloggers out there, and I'm not going to say who they are. You know who you are. Looking at the side of the mountain where they're building this new roller coaster for months, just shooting the excavation of dirt off of the side of the mountain.
Mm-hmm.
I literally like thinking like nothing's going to change there because nothing's ever been built off the side of that hill. So the land needs to settle before they could start building up.
Mm-hmm.
And literally every day for almost a year, they were filming ever since excavation started, shooting there every single day of what this construction is going to be like. And it's like, now's the time where you should be shooting it because they're starting to build up.
Right.
But it's just, and I think it's this false sense that everything's going good at Disneyland.
Yeah, it is. It's interesting.
Mm-hmm. Which I love the park. Don't get me wrong. If you see this, I'm a big Disneyland fan. I have Disneyland collectibles that were actually in the park.
Mm-hmm.
Back in the day when Disneyland used to actually sell collectibles from the park. And there's things that, like I see, that I just, little by little, it's starting to lose my fandom. And it's sad because it's not because of age. It's because of the fact that you can't enjoy the park anymore when you go to Disneyland.
True.
I have an annual pass to Universal Studios, and I still like the fact that when I go to Universal Studios, there's days where it's empty and I can enjoy the park or just sit down and think, go get on some rides, relax, and go back to work.
True.
But it's a weird industry right now, and I'm hoping that it levels off and it goes back to some type of normality of what it used to be like.
Mm-hmm.
But I doubt it. So, and then with D23, with the amount of money that they charge people to go there, I just don't see it being worth it to go. Like a 3-day pass and how much they were charging.
No, honestly, I really feel that they can revisit that.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe, you know what? If I were to look at that expo floor, I would have probably expanded the Imagineering side and maybe done actual demonstrations where you can actually be in and be a part of.
Mm-hmm.
I would actually incorporate an artist alley.
Yeah.
An artist alley is, that's where people go and buy most of at least I know in Comic-Con they do.
Mm-hmm.
The third-party vendors, they could have expanded that a little bit bigger.
Mm-hmm.
They could even go as far as like if they want to do like play tests or an activation, they could have done several more activations. If they want to do an area just to each like a subsidiary, so like they want to do like an area for just Hulu or something just FX or something for Nat Geo, they had the space.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't have to spread everything out so bad. They had, it felt so, there was something missing is what it felt like.
Yeah. And that's the way it felt 2 years ago, that there was something missing.
Yes. So, when I mentioned how they have the stage where they talk about, whatever, they have like conversations or stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
They should have put that smack in when you first walk in.
Yes.
You know how they did announce also their partnership with to do Fortnite.
Mm-hmm.
Why didn't they have like an area where you can actually test that out?
Yeah, because unless I missed it, I didn't see anything regarding Fortnite at all.
Lorcana, they had a booth, and oh my gosh, that was like the longest line in the world. Mm-hmm. But unless you were into it, you didn't really know what that was about.
Yeah,
they could have easily done something like an AR something activation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
there is so much they can do, but again, this is like even the areas where they did Abbott Elementary and FX, that was picked up from Comic-Con and dropped into D23.
Yeah.
And and it's kind of interesting because like they have the space to
Mhm.
do it. Plus, they have a thing where Comic-Con has all their activities outside.
Mhm.
They have the room to do them inside and air conditioning where you don't feel like you're burning yourself.
Yep. Or
They
sweating
could
because of the humidity.
right. They could even invite other like a whole they could if they wanted to do like demonstrations,
Mhm.
they could.
Yeah. Yep.
There's so much room for so much stuff,
Mhm.
and yet it still felt bare.
Yep. And talking about Bear, the one
Mhm.
activation that was Bear was ESPN's activation.
Yes, it was.
Nothing there. Getting ready for the college football season, it looked like,
Mhm.
but really nothing there. Like you could bring your host that could come over and meet and greet the fans, which
Mhm.
there has to be sports fans somewhere around there in Disney. And I overheard somebody saying that, oh, these are Disney fans, not sports fans. And I don't know why anybody, no wonder nobody's in the ESPN booth. It's like, no, there's Disney fans who are sports fans. Let's be honest here. But you could have brought the host of some of the from College Game Day. You could have brought in some athletes to sign autographs. There were things that you could have done to get that booth active, and they didn't do anything.
And also where they had actually had like celebrities or signing autographs or
Mhm.
autographs or whatever,
Yeah,
it was way in the back. Unless you walked yourself back there, you didn't know it was there.
yeah.
And I was like, what was the point in that?
Hmm.
It felt like, and honestly, yes, there was overhead signage,
Hmm.
but there wasn't like signage in your face that could tell you where you need to be.
Right,
They could have
exactly.
had a tip board available to
Mhm.
you.
And it seemed like they relied on the app too
Mhm.
much.
And I'll be honest with I never opened the app.
Hmm.
I,
Yeah,
I had to download it, but honestly, I never opened it because I don't think about using the app.
yeah, exactly. And that was my thing, like as media and us getting a media badge. By the time we got the media badge, because of the people, the publicity firm that was sending out approvals,
Hmm.
the whole idea of having to get a ticket for everything really hurt our coverage of what D23 could be.
Yeah.
And that was like, if I'll be honest, and I'm going to give a shout out to the team of National Geographic. National Geographic not only have some of the nicest publicists at Disney in the
Hmm.
Disney company, but they take care of you, and they take care of you so much, especially with somebody like myself who understands everything, that all the programming. If it wasn't for the great people at National Geographic and Think Latino, we wouldn't
Hmm.
have anything to cover out of D23. And we're able to talk to my good friend, now my good friend, after interviewing him for all these Geo series, Bertie Gregory. We're able to bring him in and talk to him again and talk about to the people who created the hexagon that was there.
Hmm.
And it made me happy to see that that line to experience the hexagon was so long.
Yeah. Yeah. That was actually a line that was super long.
Mhm,
And yeah, because I saw the other ones, and the other ones were like
mhm.
not very long, not anything that I cared to do.
Yeah. And that one had a long line, which made me happy. And I got to give a shout out to all the people at National Geographic in Washington, D.C., who flew down here. You did an amazing job, amazing presentation, and everybody. There's a reason why we like working with you, and it's
Hmm.
because you're so professional and so kind, especially to the media.
Yeah.
Well, so I mean, ultimately, the things they need to change, there's a lot they need to change because as they want to compete with Comic Con like they've been trying to do.
It's gonna take a lot, and then I understand Comic Con is the granddaddy of all Comic Cons. It's the father of Comic Cons.
Yeah.
Um, but if you want to stay in that same breath, I
Hmm.
think it's time to think about it. Not no like you have to think as a fan,
Hmm.
not what's gonna make you money.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Also, the other thing that was that I'm like, I will say the one thing that was interesting was having a Disney security instead of an
Mhm.
outside company security, which that was a big change,
Yes.
and that was nice that they were able to whatever to
Mhm.
take every consideration. However, don't take my snacks. I
Yeah.
was like I remember my last day, they said, "Hey, you only allow water." I'm like, "Really?" Because the last few days I've been bringing in my own just snacks to keep myself going.
Yeah.
But okay, I mean, I didn't fight with them, but I didn't argue or anything. I said, "Okay, it's your job, whatever." But I can see how frustrated I've seen other people were.
Yeah. And I had a as media, we had a problem getting through security and Disney security because they checked my bag and they go, "Oh, you can't bring that in. You can't bring." It wasn't about the camera. It was the microphones that they had an issue with. And they said, "Oh, you can't bring in your microphones." And I go, "But I'm media." "Oh, let me check with my supervisor to see if it's okay." And they brought a supervisor from down the way to come in just to say, "Oh, he's media. He's okay."
Oh, yikes.
Which I was like, you don't do that at the park because obviously we've seen so many people there with huge friggin' Komodo red cameras
Yeah.
blogging about the park. But to go into the convention center, you're having an issue over a microphone.
Mm-hmm.
I don't get that. And that's the one thing, like I say, there's a lot of, I think D23, because I remember when they first started, were great.
Oh,
Fun to
absolutely.
the artist alley or where they sell stuff was a lot bigger. It was literally one part of the hall.
Yeah, honestly, it's like they were still figuring out what their way, and but the way they were really thinking, what would the fan like? And if
Yeah.
they would think about it in that sense, like what do they want? What do they like? And let's be honest with you, they're mostly there for the theme park stuff.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
how are you gonna wow them?
Hmm.
Show them, let them geek out with you. Let them um blue sky with you, let them go nuts with you, get them as excited as you are to do your project,
Hmm.
and you will find return. You will find people who will latch on to that. But until they think of that, it's going to be probably the same. But then again, what can change in 2 years?
Exactly. And that's the one thing, and especially with the price.
Right.
Don't charge what you would be going to Disneyland to go to D23 per day.
Mm-hmm.
It makes no friggin' sense. Because if you divide, how much was your 3-day pass?
Oh, that's a good question.
It had to be about $300 to $400, right?
Oh,
Or more.
easily.
If you divide that, it's almost how much you would pay on the cheapest tier of ticket to Disneyland.
Mm-hmm.
When in the beginning of D23, it was very affordable. Hence the reason why so many people, and it was packed and it was crowded, is because it was affordable. It wasn't the price of a Disneyland ticket.
Right.
And I think they need to get it down to a reasonable price and a reasonable where it's affordable for people.
Mm-hmm.
If people are going to choose, and this is an old sports analogy when I used to work in pro sports and how I used to think about pricing. If you're going to charge as much it is to go to Disneyland or D23 that weekend, families are always going to choose going to Disneyland over D23.
Right.
If you
You
want
know.
to get them into D23, that price has to go down. On the movie side, if you're bringing your movies to D23,
Mm-hmm.
don't show so much at Comic-Con when it's 2 weeks of separation.
Right.
Another thing, do things and activations on the floor that are promoting all your films.
Mm-hmm.
Because I didn't see no promotion of their films.
Mm-mm.
Marvel had that TVA thing, but the TVA thing could be anything. It could be about Loki or even Deadpool and Wolverine because that's the only two things you saw the TVA.
Did you do that activation?
No, because the line was really, really long.
So the way that it was actually an interesting way to showcase costumes
Mm-hmm.
from Loki, Agatha all along. there's like there's a few others, but you did get to a point where you talked to Rocket Raccoon, and that was, I think it was a play test.
Yeah.
That was, I think that was a clever way to do as a play test for that. But other than that,
yeah,
it was just, it's fine.
Yep. And the marketing wasn't there either. There wasn't a
No,
lot of commercials, a lot of things saying that D23 was going to be coming up.
it was very secretive because like even the website itself didn't really provide much information. Like it was super secretive. I'm like, yeah, we know this D23, so
It's back to that what I said. They're relying too much that we don't have to do anything. They're going to come no matter what.
Right.
And in reality, you always have to market somewhat to bring in new fans or bring in new people.
Right.
And I think the people from seeing firsthand in some of the departments, you need to hire people who actually know what they're doing. I think sometimes they get rid of the people that do know what they're doing to bring in people who are cheaper, and they don't know what they're doing.
Right.
And I think that's where you see I see where the problems are with this company right now. And those problems are things that could easily be fixed, easily be taken care of if you hire the right people.
Right.
Because it's frustrating sometimes working with them and on the movie side, it's sometimes very frustrating, especially when we're not a Latino outlet. We're a general outlet. We cater to everybody. We welcome everybody into our family here at MUSE TV. And they always give you the Latino actor who has 2 minutes on screen, and that's it. And I think with that, you can watch the No Sabo Kids Chronicles, which is beginning filming on September 14th, where we talk about these issues of being in Hollywood. And we have some great guests that are coming on board. Great Latinos and Latinas from Hollywood and TV, film and TV, that are going to be a part of the show and talk about their experiences, as well as dignitaries. And first season will be with Latinos. Second season, we're opening it up to everybody else, Italians, Irish, everybody, to tell their experiences here on MUSE TV. Claudia, you got anything to plug that you're working on?
Other than this D23 coverage, not really.
Well, you are going to be going to Tokyo Disneyland soon, so I'm sure you'll be posting stuff from Tokyo Disney.
Actually, yeah, you're right. Actually, I'm going to Tokyo Disney in the next few months, and I'll give you some first look on, or just an inside look at how Tokyo Disney and just the methods of getting there and planning your day. I mean, clearly, I won't be the expert in Tokyo Disney. There is another blogger who's more qualified there to tell you how to get there. And that's the person you should be following if you're planning a trip to Tokyo Disney. But I'll give you my thoughts and impressions of it. It'll be my second time heading to the park, but I will be very excited to see the new Fantasy Springs and the attractions and showing you a little bit of Japan.
Yeah, and you'll be able to catch that on our new show, Destinations, our travel show, which focuses on theme parks and other things in order to get away and enjoy yourself. And that's going to be coming to the brand new, who now that with our website is somewhat shut down, the brand new MUSE TV network, where you're going to be experiencing new shows like Muse by Muse, Social and Media with Hannah Fletcher, Sound and Vision, Crave, and of course Destination, which is our theme park travel show starting in September 5th. We're shooting that actually in 2 weeks. Halloween Horror Nights already.
There you go.
Wow, that came by quick. And you'll be able to see Claudia's footage from Japan and ours here on Destination very, very soon, and Destination Extended, our new YouTube channel. So thank you so much for stopping by, seeing us. If you're seeing this on replay, thank you for coming in and learning more about MUSE TV and what we cover. And yeah, and we'll see you next time here on the MUSE TV network. See you soon.
See ya.
Oops, where do I do this? Okay, cool. It's